November 12th Shreveport City Council meeting is now called to order. If you would, please make sure your cell phones are on silence. Please stand, and Councilman Sam Jenkins will lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge by Councilman Webb.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to live in a country and in a nation that is free. We lift up our men and women in uniform that serve this country both here at home and abroad, and we just ask that you will protect them. Father God, we pray for their families also, that support group that has to stand behind them, that they'll be able to go and come in peace and in protection. And Father God, we just thank you for all these young people that we see in the audience today. We know that they are the future of our city. We're just happy to see that they are here and able to witness the governmental process. And Father God, we lift up the mayor of this city. We lift up members of this council. We lift up our families. We lift up all of the employees who work and labor day in and day out to help make Shreveport a better place to live. And Father God, most of all, we lift up our citizens when we've been elected or appointed to serve. And we pray for their safety and for their success. It's in Jesus' name that we pray.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Please face the flag and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Just before you take your seat, Mr. Chairman, please, I'd like for us to just spend a moment in silent prayer for the son of one of America's and Louisiana's greatest sons, the late Eddie Robinson Sr. His son passed, Eddie Robinson Jr., who was one of Louisiana's greatest resources. I would ask you to please just bow your head for a moment in silent prayer for Eddie Robinson Jr. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. McCullough? Here. Mr. Everson?
Here.
Mr. Oliver Jenkins? Mr. Corbin?
Present.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Shine?
Present.
Mrs. Sam Jenkins?
Present.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the
So
Monday,
moved.
October
Second.
21st Administrative Conference and the October 22nd City Council meeting? Motion by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by Councilman Webb. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that there are some amendments too. Are we going to take those up at the same time or something?
Yes. We'll back up and vote on the amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair on the amendments. Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent on the amendments.
So moved on the minutes as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair as amended. Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent, and I believe we are now back on track. At this point, does any council member have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests? Councilman Sam Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to, if we could, Mr. Chairman, it's not out of order, invite up Ms. Cassandra Calloway with Shreveport Green, and she have a group of students with her, I think, that want to come forward and address the council. If it's appropriate, I'd like for them to come forward at this time.
We might want them to do the pledge one more time. That was energetic.
It's right in my mouth. I couldn't hardly.
Y'all come on in, don't be shy.
I see one thing, they're teaching citizenship out at Huntington.
Let's see my baby Tronisha.
I see former Councilman Tom Arsenault coming in. Tom, would you wave? All right.
Parish Commissioner here also.
Who is that?
Matthew Lynn.
Matthew
Lynn.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn is in the audience.
Hiding over in the corner.
Matthew. Matthew, you got to stand. You can't, yeah, okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much for having us today. To the mayor, to the council. We are so honored to be here today, and thank you for having us, and thank you, Councilman Jenkins, for inviting us. We're so excited that we're nervous. But you all know me, I'm Cassandra Calloway, and I'm with Shreveport Green, and I'm the Neighborhood and Education Program Coordinator. We just kicked off last month our new anti-litter campaign. It's called Take the Pledge to Stop Littering. And we thought, what better way to do it than with the younger generation? They are the future of Shreveport. We put the call out to all 12 high schools, and 3 high schools answered the challenge. That would be Huntington, Fair Park, and Green Oaks. We have 100 students who are registered, and they serve on our Student Litter Task Force. And what they do is they help us, the old people, to come up with innovative and creative ideas. You know, you can't just tell people it's wrong anymore, and it hurts the environment. That's not enough. That may work for my generation and your generation, but the newer generation, they have a different calling. So I said, it's been a long time since I've been in school, so I need those young creative minds, and that's who I brought with me. This is not all of them. They all had different schedules, but I'm so thankful to those that came that made the sacrifice. And if you notice, they're wearing our new t-shirts that says, I'm too good to litter.
All right.
And again, they are the future. And then on the back it says, take the litter pledge. Will you take the pledge? We have set up since October 23rd an online survey, taking the pledge. And at the time that I typed up my information, we had 123 people since October 23rd who have taken the pledge. Now we're up to 200 plus. Our goal is to get in the thousands. We feel like if we can get people talking about trash and how ugly it is, and make them feel that they need to be a part of the solution. And we're going to individuals. As you know, Shreveport Green has held thousands of cleanups, but that alone is not the answer. So we wanted to do something different this year and henceforth. We want to make it personal because littering is an act and it's personal. So we're getting young people like these and adults to take that pledge to make a commitment. Just like we pledge to litter, click it or ticket. To buckle up. Just like we make a pledge to do other things. We want you to make a commitment not to litter. So I'm not going to take up all the time, but I want the young people to speak to you, and they just have a few words to say to you.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alexis Ashley, and I attend Green Oaks Performing Arts Academy. The Take the Pledge to Stop Littering online survey was set up on October 23rd. 123 people have taken the pledge so far. Our goal is 1,000 people to take the pledge by May 2014. Every day we receive commitments from people who pledge not to litter.
Good afternoon. My name is Trinicia Wilson, and I attend Green Oaks Performing Arts Academy. We formed the Student Litter Task Force, which includes 102 students. We have been aware of our responsibility to make our city cleaner.
Great.
Wonderful.
Good afternoon. My name is Felice Thompson Doyle, and I attend Huntington High School. We are featured on attractive posters to discourage fellow students from littering. They are being delivered to schools, libraries, and other public places now.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Abrielle Chester, and I attend Huntington Law and Business High School. We will record a televised commercial to reach young people in the entire community. It will air on KTBS TV station in January of 2014.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Good afternoon. My name is Laveda Tate, and I attend Fair Park High School. We will be recording a radio commercial to reach young teens. The commercial will be aired in 2014 of February, and that will be aired on 2 different radio stations.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Melicia Smith, and I attend Fair Park College Preparatory Academy High. Since I've been on the task force, I now realize that littering is a big deal. Now I care. Okay. And I like to see my neighborhood and city become more clean.
Absolutely.
All right. That's Queensboro, Sam. We need it.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of what we do. We meet every week, all 3 schools, and we're constantly coming up with creative ways to reach young people. Keep America Beautiful did a litter study in 2009, and they found that people ages 30 and under litter more than any other age group. So that's why we're targeting young people. They litter more. And I don't want to put these guys to shame or anything, but they're trying to be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So we just wanted to make you all aware that we're targeting the future of Shreveport to stop littering. Not that we don't care about the older groups, but I just think my generation and those older, we do care. But sometimes the young people are portrayed as those who do not care. So who better to mentor to their fellow peers than these young people? And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing them to see how city government works. Some of them have never been to the council chambers. And so to see you in action, and one of the young ladies asked me, are they going to pave the streets? Are they going to discuss that? I said, yes, they are. They take care of city business. So thank you so much for allowing us to be here and allowing them to see you in action.
Ms. Calloway,
yes, sir.
Before you go to your seat, why don't you let your photographer come up here and take a picture out there?
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Right.
I didn't want the marshal.
Everyone follow Ms. Bellard.
Wait, hold it, just before y'all leave.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, just before
Stay
y'all
right
leave. She's gonna come up here and take a picture.
While she's taking a picture, Mr. Chairman, if I can, I just want to thank Ms. Calloway and Shreveport Green and all of the young people who have come down today to participate in educating us on litter. I will take the litter pledge before the week is out. I'm going to certainly encourage my colleagues to do the same thing so that we can set the right example. So thank you so much for coming down. Congratulations to all the students for what you're doing. You're working in local government at the grassroots level, and that's what we need. So thank y'all for what you're doing.
And just one more thing before y'all go to your seat. You was talking about streets. I'm the mayor's special friend. So if you drive down Juella, you can see the streets are being fixed. And he wanted to do that just for me. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Here, I'm gonna get him an apple. You know how you get your teacher an apple. I'm gonna get him an apple for doing that just for me.
Well,
So,
thank you,
thank
City
you all for
Council,
coming down.
and thank you, Mayor Glover.
The mayor, I'm gonna take that back so Sam and Rose won't be on you here.
I saw your fingers the whole time you were talking.
Yeah, I'm taking it back now, so they won't. I'm taking it back now. He ain't doing that for me, though.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Jenkins.
He's
Councilman
doing that
Everson.
for the fire department.
Yes, I appreciate that. I would like to recognize, there are representatives here from A Better Shreveport. I think Lauren Demarath is the main representative there. If they would like to come up, they have a brief presentation to give us on the importance of bike lanes and multi-use pedestrian.
Thank you, Council. We appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. We have a PowerPoint I was going to click through. The tech guy can do that for me. He said he would get that up. Here it comes. That doesn't look like it, actually. That's not. That's not it.
There's
but
Connie.
it was on the jump drive. There you go. Yep. Roll that. Great. Thanks. Right, we're from A Better Shreveport, and we discuss issues of quality of life. We've been talking about these ideas for a long time. We're just going to click through some things really quickly for you. What we'd like to do is press our point that we want more bike paths, and those are not just for cyclists, but for pedestrians as well, for people in wheelchairs. We've got one down by the riverfront. That's what we're talking about. And we want them soon. My gosh, we're getting impatient. We've been on this for quite a while, and we haven't added any more bike paths to our city, so we really want to press that. We think we've got some opportunities with the UDC, the Unified Development Code, coming up for us. So we would request right now that paths be added to the agenda of the Infrastructure Committee, and that it be a top priority, and that we would revisit this to see how we're doing with that. Again, we think it's a unique opportunity for Shreveport. People want it, and it's also affordable. What we'd be doing is using existing public right-of-ways to create a network of multi-use paths that are used for transportation, right? For healthy transportation, walking and biking, and going to the grocery store, going to work, going to school. We think we've got lots of opportunities. This is a map of our major drainage ditches in blue that are concreted. In red, they're the natural ones that aren't concreted, like the Duck Pond in Broadmoor. The beautiful bayou that goes up to the Martin Luther King neighborhood, and we really see a lot of potential for those, for making them real amenities to our city. A trail along that would be beautiful. And there's also, in red, are the levees as well. And we don't have any levee-top bike paths in the city. They got them in Alexandria, for Pete's sake, Alexandria, right? But we don't have them here, so we want to see them here. Here's a guy, he's being interviewed in Spanish television. He's worked all around the world creating linear parks, they're called, or greenways, bike paths like our riverfront one. His name is Dr. Bruce Sharkey. He is a professor at the #1 program in the U.S. of landscape architecture, and that is LSU, by the way. He came up here and he said, we asked him to come up. His students were doing projects and they made proposals. He said, I've never seen drainage ditches so amenable to being converted to greenways. Traveled all around the world, right? It will make it cheaper by, and I remember he paused, and by an orders of magnitude, right? So twice as cheap, 3 times as cheap is the position that we're in. So they're big, right? Our big drainage ditches. They're beautiful. They are. Yes, and more beautiful. Yes, there's another one. And with lots of possibilities. You could take something like this. This runs just to the west of Gilbert. It's got a little ribbon of water in it pretty much all the time. But you could find a way to cap that and make it dry with a culvert underneath and a drain. And, you know, bikers could use it. That's been done in other cities, too. And they just post signs that say, when it rains, be careful, this is going to flood. So you could do something where you're going from this, your typical drainage ditch, and I was talking to somebody just the other day who knows about this kind of thing, an engineer who knows that this can be done, to this, where you're cutting it in, and at one end and putting a railing in. It might, so that's what you're making. It might look like something like that, to borrow from one architect's depiction. Frequently asked questions on these things. Will it increase crime? Well, it tends not to. They usually lower crime because of eyes on the street, and I've got in this thing a thing about the National Park Service's meta-analysis of studies that have been done. Do they reduce property values if you've got them going through your neighborhood? No, they tend to increase property values. And there's research in a variety of different states, Deep South, Northeast, California, where that happens. Are there funding possibilities? Well, funds are available for transportation enhancements, as you all, I know. It reduces road maintenance costs when people are taken off the roads. And it shows regulators were doing something to reduce air pollution, so we could reduce penalties that we may have to pay otherwise. So those are some of the things that we feel strongly about, some of the reasons we feel strongly about this. And how do paths help a city in particular? Why do people care about them? Well, some of us are just going to tick off some points and make give you some examples. We're going to hear from Bentonville, Arkansas, Minneapolis, Minnesota about growth, about safety, and retention of people in our city.
Hello, my name is Kathy Smith. In September, my husband and I took a trip, and we were pleasantly surprised. We actually went to Bella Vista, which is about 10 minutes before you get to Bentonville, Arkansas. When we got there, we were pleasantly surprised. There were bike paths and multi-use paths all over the city. We had taken our bicycles, but we were surprised when we got there at how amenable the whole city was. People were out jogging. People were outside everywhere, morning, noon, and night. They had signs all over the city that said, "Come out and play, Bentonville." And the whole city felt so friendly, and it felt so inviting. And I said, I want to come back here. This is awesome. They had tunnels where the interstates intersected, where you could go through the tunnels, you could ride a bike, or you could jog, and people were using these morning, noon, and night. They had some bike bridges. The whole infrastructure of the city was for transportation. I think the idea a lot of times, I'm kind of new on this, but when I've talked to people, it seems like the idea is sort of, well, they're just special people. They just want bicycles for recreation, just those people. They just want the whole city for just them. My concern is I want it for transportation. I see hurting people who need a way to get from point A to point B, and I saw this being accomplished in Bentonville, Arkansas. A variety of people. People in wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs, walking their dogs on these multi-use paths. They were all over the city. They were downtown, and it was just very inviting. The whole city felt very friendly, and I would like to see that happen in Shreveport, Louisiana. I think there's a need, and I think it's time.
Catherine?
Hi, I'm Catherine Brandel. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in Minneapolis they made a priority of the biking and walking trails around the city. There's a beautiful network of trails, and people use those for all types of reasons, not just for recreation, but also for getting to and from work. My big point that I'd like to make is that, if you haven't been to Minneapolis, I can assure you that we have far more days when it's appropriate to be out walking and biking here in Shreveport than they do up there, and they make ample use of those paths. People are on them, biking and walking in the summer, biking and walking in the winter. This is a quality of life issue that we can enhance the quality of our lives here in Shreveport with such paths, but also make good use of these as a means of transportation.
I'm Lonnie Duke, and I would like to talk about alternative transportation being something that can help attract business to Shreveport, because the younger people who are more apt to use this kind of pedestrian and bicycle commuting are going to be the next generation of entrepreneurs to come to our community. Portland has an active biking and pedestrian infrastructure support. Boston does. New York City has a network of over 100,000 people that are interested in alternative transportation. Maine has a statewide program. Michigan has a statewide program. The U.S. Department of Transportation encourages their Federal Highway Administration people to commute by bike or foot.
And now Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Weeks. I just wanted to say that more often than not, I bike with my children to school here in Shreveport. Every day they wake up and they say, "Can we bike today?" And we do it more often than not, but I will be honest with you, I am scared every single day biking on the streets of Shreveport with a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. We have to go on streets with cars speeding past us. We have to cross busy streets. We have lots of places without even sidewalks or things. And I would like to see more bike paths and pedestrian paths just so that we can do it. My kids love to bike. They would bike more often. We would bike as a family on a regular basis, commuting places as well. So.
Hi, I'm Maurice Loredans. I grew up here, and I now bike just about everywhere I go. My wife coaxes me into a car once in a while, but I have to keep a battery charger on mine because I use it so rarely. I just turned 58, and I got to thinking, by the time the development around here gets to be secure enough for alternative transportation, I'll probably be in a wheelchair. So mobility aids are the future for my generation, I think. But I wanted to point out this. I managed the Beck building for a while, and there's a lot of very senior members of our business community there, and I've seen a pattern. Those guys can, as long as they can operate their vehicles safely, they do fine coming to downtown and puttering around in their office and going across the street for lunch, and they're still mentally alive because they're engaged with those things. But then as soon as they lose their ability to safely operate a vehicle, some family member puts them in a nursing home, because there's not many ways you can function without being able to independently operate an automobile in this city. And the cities that my friends have cited to you, and plenty of even third world towns in Mexico, the older people do fine. They still get to go to the town square and get the newspaper and sit in an outdoor cafe, and they don't have to drive a car, and still can have their life and their mental facilities and their moderate exercise. So I know this is going to take a while. What we want is to network with the parish, with NLCOG, with the state, when the state does transportation stuff. We want the developers to have to tie into their neighboring subdivisions with paths that people can get to their schools in the next subdivision, to the libraries in the next subdivision, without having to go out to arterial roads and risk their lives. We want this place to be more bike and pedestrian and mobility aid friendly. Thank you.
Right, so we plan on talking with those other players too, the MPC and the Caddo Parish Commission. Well, we really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. We're wearing white, as are some people in the audience, even Mr. Sibley, and I see some of you wearing white as well. It's the color of ghost bikes. Those are people that are, well, ghost bikes are bikes painted white. You may have seen one on Southern and Dalzell. They're placed there in memorial of somebody who's been killed on a bike. But we appreciate this time. Thank you for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here today, and I did want to just encourage, I know that you're enthusiastic about bike paths, and want to help to make sure that we're directing the efforts where they can make the best impact. I think that right now, I know Maurice was a participant on the Shreveport Common Bike and Ped Plan. They have been working with NLCOG to come up with a draft. I believe they have a draft of that now. Now, there are still some challenges to it, and that what a lot of communities have found is a big challenge is they may find a grant, or they might find some transportation enhancement money that allows them to build some of these type of pathways, but they don't come along with maintenance money or with a good plan to make sure that they're connected to one another, to make sure that they're actually being able to move people around. And so some of that work, I think, is starting to happen. I think that some of the connectivity work through the Shreveport Common Plan, I think, is a good start to showing how bike paths can be productive and can be useful both for exercise but also for job transportation. So I would encourage you to kind of take up some of those efforts that are ongoing already, and help to throw your support to those, because that will help to set the tone for those people who don't understand the value of a bike path. There are those people who are still skeptical, and until they sort of see some successes, they're going to be harder to get on board. So we do have some good initiatives going forward. I know that many members of your group have been part of that, and I'd encourage you to stay active in those, as well as, like you said, the Unified Development Code is something that's going to really help to be able to, over time, set some standards, and there's a number of other opportunities there. Also, in December, there is actually an event locally that is a training session called Designing Streets for Pedestrians and Bicyclists. It's a workshop on December 4th to the 6th. So encourage you to get the word out about that. Let's get people participating in that. And I think it'll be a great way to move one step closer to that goal. So thank y'all so much.
All right, thank you.
Any other recognitions from council members? If not, Mayor Glover.
I'm sorry. I was going to recognize Simone Hennessy. Simone, could we ask you to come forward? Today we have on our agenda a resolution recognizing this month as Homelessness Awareness Month. And I think that Simone had some comments about the month first, and just like to give her an opportunity to share with us a little.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank all of you, Mayor, City Council, for allowing me just a few moments of your time. In particular, thank you for the support this group has given us over the many, many years. In particular, I want to thank you for the new process for nonprofits to be able to apply. I think it is a great process, and I think it will help you as well as the nonprofit community do a better job in showing you what we do, how we do it, and what the results are. So imagine a community where no family is homeless. As we approach this holiday season, we're reminded of family and home, but for thousands of families, home is not a reality. It's only a dream. And imagine sleeping in your car with 3 little children and only $12 to your name. And while being homeless was difficult, yes, what do I need to do? Just hit that one? Sound okay? I want to wait. Just put it on hold. This was a person that actually lives at Providence House now, but what she found in living in her car in a small community, that her children in many, many cases were, where it was hard on her, it was even harder on her children because they complained of being hungry. Now, this woman refused to steal food, not wanting to break the law and putting in risk of losing her children by going to jail. However, the situation was so dire for this particular family that she considered taking her life and the life of her children. Running out of options, a friend recommended her come to Providence House from her small city because we had a lot more options to serve the homeless. She did find a shelter where she could sleep, but she had to leave during the day, which made it impossible for her to find work while caring for those little children. Homelessness occurs when people are unable to have enough money, to make enough money to care for and support their family with housing. And in Louisiana, it takes 2 full-time minimum wage jobs or $15 an hour to afford a rental 2-bedroom apartment. While in many cases the circumstances change, the major reason that people are homeless is the lack of affordable rental property for them. And the scarcity of this property is not just about Shreveport, it's about the United States as well. So in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, we have a 20% poverty rate, in Bossier City, 14%. The good news for that particular family is that there are options, and this family ended up coming to Providence House with her 3 children. While she was applying for a job, someone had suggested Providence House, and she came, and she is currently working our program, and I think she has a very bright future because she has a great attitude. And as most of you know, Providence House is about looking at long-term solutions to the issues of homelessness. So when families complete this program, our success rate for the families, at least through this past year, has been 76%. And so we know long-term solutions ultimately are going to be the solution. So imagine being homeless, and the struggles that this particular family faced is something almost impossible for you and I to understand without actually being homeless. And so this year, Providence House is asking people to experience being homeless for 1 night, to live outside in a cardboard box, to see what it is really like. So we're inviting families, individuals, young people to camp out at Independence Stadium on November 16th, that's this Saturday, to do a couple of things. Number 1, fulfill our mission to break the cycle of homelessness, to raise awareness and understanding of what it costs and what the challenges are for homeless families. And we want to challenge young people to be part of the solution, and we believe that the next generation of young people that actually understand what it is like to sleep out can be our next leaders. We can plant, hopefully, a philanthropic seed in them, as well as our next leadership coming up behind all of us here. So what I want to do is show a really short video and then just speak for a couple of minutes about what we're doing with this event. And this is called a Sleep Out for Independence. It's our very first event that Providence House has ever done.
On November 16th, hundreds of Shreveport Bossier people will trade their nice warm beds for a nice warm feeling. Providence House is proud to host Sleep Out for Independence, an event to raise awareness of homelessness in our community. Your support gives over 300 local families and children a chance to succeed. Together we can pull an all-nighter and put a stop to homelessness. I'm sleeping out that night. Are you? Register today at sleepoutforindependence.com.
So anyway, that's kind of a little preview about what we're going to be doing this Saturday night. We hope to have about 700 adults and, let me see if I can turn it off.
Providence House is a residential development center and temporary home.
Thank you. You didn't want to hear that? So, our great hope, anyway, with the Sleep Out for Independence is that families and young people who participate will be transformed by their experience and become motivated, number one, to tell the story, to give their time and talent, to pay it forward to help in homelessness as we know it in our community. So November is Homeless Awareness Month, and that is why we are here. First, I also want to thank the City of Shreveport, Shelley Regal in particular, SPAR. We are using Independence Stadium, and they have been very, very supportive of us and made it possible. And I think the mayor is going to be a judge at the event, is what I understand. And I think some of you are, Oliver, are you camping out?
I'm considering it strongly.
So part of this event, which is, I think, really pretty cool, is that I
I'd
want
like
to
to
show
see
you
Dale. I'd like to see Dale and Oliver camp out.
We've got a long history of camping out in our lives, so we're kind of looking for some non-campers to
So
step
I
up.
want you to see this trophy, all right? We have a boxed-in shelter contest that is going on as a part of this. So young people are going to be building shelters, and they're going to, everybody from Robinson Rescue, who's building a dog house to sleep out in, to Bird, who's building a beehive. Moonbot has designed individual trophies to be given out for the best in show, first and second place. These are very individualized. They are signed by the bots. This is best in show. So anyway, this will give you an idea of what is happening in Independence Stadium this weekend. So we hope that you will, if you haven't built yours yet, Michael, there's an opportunity for you as well. Bring the family, sleep out all night. But anyway, we hope that this will be the first of many, many events that not only raises money for Providence House, but at the same time changes lives and transforms young people.
Thank you for your comments, but I want to make sure there's a young lady in the audience who I spoke with earlier who I'd like to put in touch with you who has some questions that, about homelessness and experiences that she and people she's close to have experienced, and want to make sure that we put y'all in touch.
Great, thank you very much.
So if you want to, come over here and I'll put y'all in touch.
Simone,
Yes,
just before
sir.
you go, I think Arthur Thompson and Oliver Jenkins will represent the council.
But the mayor, I'm sure, is going to be there. Rain or shine, right?
Absolutely.
He said, what's going to happen if it rains? I said, well, you know, homeless people.
Yeah. All right.
That's what it is.
Get you out in pajamas here.
Okay.
If there are no more council recognitions, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you for awards, recognitions, and city business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we will do them all in one. As usual, we certainly welcome all those who are here and thank them for their presence. Those who are here in the chambers, as well as those who are watching today by Comcast or Ustream. We certainly appreciate anyone who takes the time from their schedule to be a part of the local democratic process. Mr. Chairman, we'd like to start by inviting mayoral staffer Karen Barnes to come forward, along with the guest that she has brought here with her today, also her fellow board member who's here with Volunteer Louisiana. That would be Teresa Michaels. Mr. Chairman, members, I want to give you all just a little bit of background. This group of public servants represents one of the finest institutions, not only here in Shreveport, in Bossier and Northwest Louisiana, but the entirety of the United States of America. On last month, our very own Karen Barnes and Miss Teresa Michaels, both of whom are board members of Volunteer Louisiana. I believe that they are joined in their service on that board by Shreveport's very own Chris Gorman as well. One point I think he may have been chairman or may currently be chairman of Volunteer Louisiana. And I know he couldn't be here today because he's probably running a marathon someplace, or he may be somewhere advancing the interests of Tango, but I know he is no doubt here in spirit, and we certainly appreciate his service. But they were all in attendance last month at the Champions of Service Gala in Baton Rouge. As you all may know, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Volunteer Louisiana has a mission to build and sustain high-quality programs that meet the needs of Louisiana citizens and promotes and helps to facilitate a desire and a willingness to serve. The October 24th gala was highlighted by the Barksdale Air Force men and women who were honored in the Sportsman's Paradise category for their compassion and unselfish service as they volunteer their time in many various capacities here in Shreveport and throughout the area. They make a difference in the lives of people throughout Northwest Louisiana, and this is without question a much well-deserved honor. And I want to send a special thanks to Ms. Michaels for submitting the nomination. At this point, we will have a slideshow that will showcase Colonel Leland Bohannon and Senior Master Sergeant Anita Lyons accepting their plaque from Lieutenant Governor Jay Darton, and pictures of Barksdale Federal Credit Union and the Bossier Chamber of Commerce as the sponsors of this effort. So let's cue up our video. Oh. An actual video, it's images. Karen, you want to tell us who we're seeing as we go through these?
Yes, sir. There were two wonderful individuals who traveled to Baton Rouge with us, and the first picture was with Lieutenant Colonel Bohannon and Master Sergeant Anita Lyons, and they were the ones who traveled to Baton Rouge with us, and we were very excited to have them, and we just had a really good time in Baton Rouge to watch and oversee these amazing men and women to accept this award hosted by Governor Jindal and Lieutenant Jay Darton. It was a wonderful experience, and we couldn't thank the Barksdale Air Force men and women for all they do for our community. Recently, they offered their services to help us with the Northwest Louisiana Summit, Mayor, as you remember, and we had 20 Barksdale Air Force men and women to serve in that capacity to greet our small businesses as well as our national companies in the Shreveport area. And we just can't thank them enough. So I want to introduce these wonderful individuals. Mayor, please.
Absolutely.
We're here today.
Want to, as I mentioned earlier, thank the good folks at Barksdale Federal Credit Union and the Bossier Chamber of Commerce for agreeing to sponsor the event and also for their continued commitment and service to our community. We have here with us today, representing Barksdale Air Force Base, Colonel Andrew Gabara, a 2nd Bomb Wing Commander, Chief Master Sergeant Curtis Storms, 2nd Bomb Wing Command Chief, and also in the audience is Technical Sergeant Kathy Jampit, and representing Barksdale Federal Credit Union, Patrick Gullett, Chief Operating Officer, and Bossier Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, and I know she's not here, Lisa Johnson. So who's here in Lisa Johnson's stead? Monique Rue? How do you spell that? R-O-U-X. R-O-U-X. Just like the, can you make a roux? There you go. I know you have good gumbo at your house. All right, at this point, we'll start with the Colonel.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council for the time you're allowing us to have. And I'm very proud of the men and women of Barksdale Air Force Base. I take any opportunity to brag on them, but the biggest thing I'd like to just take away is the chief and I, a long time ago, when we were looking at the priorities of the base, trying to decide, how much can we partner with the local community, and then it kind of dawned on us that we're not partnering with the local community, we are part of the local community. And I think that really has permeated throughout the base, and you see it in terms of volunteerism. This is a wonderful award as well, but the many things that the young men and women of Barksdale do. A lot of challenges in our community, in our budget, and all sorts of issues, not just in the military, but throughout. But despite those challenges, or maybe because of them, these young men and women are coming together, standing up, and making our community a better place. And so I think any opportunity to highlight that is worth the time, and I appreciate the time allowed to do that. Chief, anything to add?
I'd just like to say how honored and humbled I am to be here. You know, the airmen at Barksdale just amaze you every day. No different than the young ladies and men that showed up today about taking away the litter off the streets. Our airmen are no different than them. They just want to come into a community and feel part of it, and they do. And you make them part of that. Myself being here just 9 months now, I can't think of a better community that opens their arms for military personnel. And I've been to a lot of places after 28 years, so you all should feel proud on how your people, part of this community, make us feel part of it. So thank you very much for that.
Happy to have you.
Thank you. At the credit union, we have a lot of these servicemen and women as our members, and their family members are our members, and we employ a lot of military spouses as well. And I can testify, we all can testify to the fact that they do give a lot to the community, and they have a real giving spirit. And we're proud just to play a small part in recognizing their achievements here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As I said, I'm Monique Rue, and I'm actually the military relations liaison from the Bossier Chamber. So working really closely with our military partners here, of course, Barksdale being our largest military neighbor in this community, and a military spouse living here for 7 years. I have been on the receiving end of everything that this community has done for us, so thank you very much. But we're very, very proud of the men and women of Barksdale and the volunteerism, that spirit that is instilled in them as being a part of the military, and service before self goes into the community here. So thank you very much for having us and for recognizing the volunteering spirit for Barksdale.
Thank you all so much. Mr. Chairman, before you all leave, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to the council for any comments that you all would have.
Yeah, for those of us who attend many events around the city, those of us up here and others in the audience, there is rarely an event that has volunteers that we don't see representation from Barksdale. Whether it's Paint Your Heart Out or it's a community cleanup day or anything, you know, they're there, and I've never heard a complaint, and everybody gets down to business and gets working, and certainly we appreciate what you give back to the community.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that I appreciate the economic boost that you all give this community. Shreveport and Bossier would not be Shreveport and Bossier without Barksdale. And whatever we can do to enhance the quality of life that you all enjoy while you're here, just feel free to let us know, because we welcome you, and you all are part of this community, and you have been for a long, long time, and we're hoping that you all will continue to be a part of this community for a long, long time to come. Thank you all very much.
Colonel, Chief Master Sergeant, you know, I can never let an opportunity pass when we have something that involves Barksdale to not mention the great legacy that you guys are part of. That legacy, in many respects, is possible because of the great visionary leadership that was displayed by the predecessors of those of us who are here before you today. It was in the early part of the 20th century when Mayor L.E. Thomas, along with civic leaders like Andrew Quirbies and Randall T. Moore, and a fellow who used to own the Shreveport Times by the name of Ewing, decided that they wanted to try and see if Shreveport, Northwest Louisiana, could manage to figure out how to be of greater service to the country, and at the same time help facilitate the attraction of more people to this area. And they understood the Department of Defense was in pursuit of looking for an area to locate a bombing range. And they put together a task force to try and position this area to go out and compete for that. They ultimately ended up going before the voters of the city of Shreveport in 1929 with a $1 million+ bond proposal that would provide the resources necessary to go out and secure 20,000+ acres to be able to offer that as what would ultimately end up becoming Barksdale Air Force Base. Ironically, they tried to site that particular 20,000 acres in an area right now that is currently predominantly Cross Lake. The surveyors and engineers at that time determined that the topography of that particular piece of land didn't lend itself to being a bombing range. That it would ultimately end up being better as a lake, which is what it became, and became the city's water source. It's a credit to their great vision. They didn't let the boundary of the river stop them from understanding that this is all one area, one region, one community. And they ultimately ended up sending a young pilot to survey this region and asked them to find the best plot of land that would serve as this purpose. Well, they ended up locating about 20,000 acres in what was at that time South Bossier Parish, still somewhat far removed from what was at that time a 3,000 plus or so citizen Bossier city. And that's where we ultimately ended up as a community deciding to make that happen. That Air Force Base opened 80 years ago this past February. And in that time, there have been untold thousands of servicemen and women who have come through there, helping to safeguard and secure this country. Those of us who were here have been proud, just as Mayor Thomas and all the others, to stand up with and stand behind and support you all in your mission. And we're always thankful when those who have come here from different parts of the world and different parts of the country, like my father, young Clarence Glover, in the 1950s as a member of the flight crew of a B-29, decided that the young girl he met from up around Dixie, Louisiana, was the woman he wanted to make his wife. And a few kids later, they figured they got it right, and I came along. But you all have been an ingrained part of this area, this city, and this region. And most importantly, you have been an integral part of helping to protect and advance freedom here at home and around the world. And so this day after Veterans Day, we say thank you for your continued service and the service of all those that you represent. And because I was also honored to have been a part, and I believe Councilman Shine was on that council in 1994, 93, 94, that helped to found Barksdale Ford, an entity that we support along with the city of Bossier City and Kettle Parish and Bossier Parish, that helps to bring together the civic resources to continue to advance that mission in Baton Rouge and Washington, D.C., and at the Pentagon, and before all of those decision makers who ultimately make a determination of what goes where, when, and how. We want you all to know that we're proud of these 80 years, and we stand resolved that there'll be a generation 80 years from now that will look back on 2013 and know that we continue to do what was necessary in order to ensure that Barksdale is here to serve and protect. So thank you all for your service, and God bless you, and God bless Barksdale. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor Glover.
All right. Have a few items, Mr. Chairman, before we wrap up. Did I see Ebony Mack come in? Ebony, come on up real quick. I know I'm catching you by surprise, but as capable and as well prepared as you are, I know it won't be any problem at all. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, as you all may have noticed, about a week and a half ago, we had a big announcement in this chambers where we had institutions that came together from around the city to talk about the unveiling of Bank on Shreveport. This is an effort that started up with a gathering of folks from the financial community in my conference room back in March of this year. Those folks, led by Ebony and Bonnie Moore and the staff at Community Development, have been working over the last 6 months or so to bring that concept to fruition. It has crystallized in a partnership that is helping to hopefully bring a greater level of economic empowerment to our citizens than they've ever enjoyed before. And I'm not here to denigrate or to diminish anybody who's engaged in a legal, legitimate business. But the truth of the matter is, as statistical data proves out, for those folks who are either unbanked or underbanked, they end up spending over the course of a rather short period of time a considerable amount of their otherwise disposable income, paying fees and other types of inordinate interest rates that if they were able to find themselves in a better set of banking circumstances, would constitute dollars that they could spend on their families, on their homes, on their education, and other various venues around town, and ultimately end up being able to increase and elevate their level of wealth. And so I want to ask Ebony, if she will, to just give you guys just a brief overview of Bank on Shreveport, who some of the partners are that are participating with us, and how you all can help get the word out to your various constituents in terms of what's going on and what we can look forward to in the future.
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, we've been working on this project for a very long time. Bank on Shreveport is a program that was actually started out of San Francisco, California in 06 or 05. And it was meant to connect people with the financial mainstream, people who are considered unbanked or underbanked. Unbanked are those persons who do not have a bank account now, maybe never had a bank account, maybe they had an account in the past, but for whatever reason, maybe because of a mismanagement of that account, are now unable to get an account at this time. The underbanked are those people who do have a bank account, they have a relationship with the financial institution, but they're not maximizing that relationship. They're not using that relationship to get a home, to get financing for a business that they may have established. And so what Bank on Shreveport is meant to do is to open up those pathways to help people get on a path to financial sustainability, to build assets, and they get connected with free financial education to build their capacity to manage their finances better. And so what we've done is we've worked with a number of financial institutions. We have about 13 partners right now that include anyone from your regions, Red River Bank, Anika. It's a plethora of credit unions and banks that are working with us. And we're working with financial education providers throughout the city. We have about 6 now that include like your Catholic Charities, there's another one, Stonewall, Multicultural CDC in Bossier. So we've covered a lot of ground, but we're working with them we've worked with them rather to create a very affordable, as according to the FDIC's regulations, is what determines an affordable checking account, to create an affordable checking account that would not have been available in Shreveport otherwise. So it's an affordable account that maybe has, for instance, a monthly service fee of less than $12. It also offers a second chance to those people who may have messed up an account before and now are in a registry which is called check systems or telechecks. That's kind of the most wanted for the banking system. So if you come up in that system, under normal circumstances, you're considered a high-risk candidate and you will not be offered a bank account. And so through this program, we allow people to not only get an affordable checking account or other affordable services as offered by these institutions, but they're also able to get a second chance if they need one, and then of course get access to free financial education, which our financial education providers offer, as well as the financial institutions that we're working with. For anyone that wants information about the program, they can go to our website, www.bankonShreveport.com, or call us at Community Development at 673-5900. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of the people that you all would be talking might not have a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that you all would come up with a creative way. And you might be doing it, maybe through the churches,
mm-hmm.
maybe through the schools, because I know there are people in my community who would need that service.
Correct. We're very mindful of that. And so we have the number, of course, through the department where people can call and either talk to myself or my colleague on the project, Rashida Dawson, and get information. Because, again, we're not leading people through a process, taking people's hands. We're kind of acting as a clearinghouse for information. So you get the information from us via talking with us on the phone or going to the website, and you get information that helps you make an informed decision, right? So that's what our goal is. But aside from that, aside from the website and aside from that hotline, we're doing outreach events. And so we've partnered with SPAR. We're doing monthly events at the top of the year that we're going to push hard on that in the beginning of the 2014.
How about the Shreveport Sun?
We've been in conversations with them. I'll keep my points to myself about that. But we have been talking to the media about the program. We've done some interviews. We've also been working with Patricia James from the IRS. She heads the VITA program, which is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. And so they have They do free tax preparation beginning in January for months up until April, every week, I think, at the different libraries, at BIPSI, all over the place. And so we've partnered with them to be a part of those events when they have them. And then, of course, we have other events planned throughout the year. So we're planning on touching people directly within their community. So we did a Family Fun Day to launch the event at Bill Cockrell Park, and that was really just a way to kind of get people out in a big open space. We had games and all kinds of things like that available. But going forward in the new year, we're planning to do much more targeted events and activities in communities. And so we have a short list of communities that reflect our target population, and go into those neighborhoods, in those SPAR centers, and reach people that way.
That's really a great idea, because we have so many people who need that kind of services, but you just got to make sure that you target them, even through I want to say some of the apartment complexes. You know, like I have a few in my area that cater to moderate and lower income people. You know, I think if you could go to some of those situations and target those people, because man, it's something that's really needed, you know.
It is, and I just wanted to also mention, I mean, a partner from early on that we've been working with is Interfaith, and so we've been present at their meetings talking about Bank On, encouraging them to talk to encouraging the members of Interfaith and the churches that they represent, so the pastors and their members that come to their events, to talk about Bank On. We've already participated in a number of their meetings and expect to continue that going forward.
How about the Shreveport Housing Authority?
Not yet, but we'll get there.
I figured the mayor could make a phone call there and get you in that venue, because you have people, Mayor, you know as well as I do, that live there that need this kind of service. But you just have to target those people, and sometimes, and the mayor tell you, sometimes you know, like when we out campaigning for a vote, you know, you just have to go back and go back and go back and,
right.
and go
right.
back and go back again, because those are the people that really need what you're offering, and sometimes they don't actually understand how important it is, and like you say, how many dollars they're losing because they're not engaged in something like that. I hope you're very successful, and I hope that this is a program that will continue to be around for a long time, and you all just continue to go back and try to get those people.
We hope so, and to your point, I mean, we think touching people repeatedly is very important. That's why we're so happy about our partnership with SPAR, because they've been very excited about allowing us to come to their centers on a regular basis and kind of rotate through our short list of centers that we've selected.
And Shelley, we got some centers out in my area, please. Make sure they come out 3 or 4 times. Not just once, but 3 or 4 times.
Well, and like the event that they did at Bill Cockrell Park a couple weekends ago was really nice, because it was sort of a, you know, they had all of the financial institutions there, but also the educators, and then, you know, attractions for people with young families who might get them to come out, snow cones and games, and, you know, kind of a nice day in the park where they could also find out about the program. So I think as y'all continue those events and kind of see what ends up catching the audience the right way, you know, it's a great start. And Councilman Shine is absolutely right. There's a lot of those centers and neighborhoods that I represent as well, and that many of us represent, that would benefit from some continued outreach in the program. But it is a great program. I compliment all of you on how far you've come with it so far.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Ebony. As mentioned, we're going to continue to seek feedback and suggestions in terms of how to go out and get people connected to this information, so that they can ultimately be hopefully empowered by it. And Mr. Shine, in line with your comment, one of the things that's there, and had I thought about it, we would have had some here, and we'll get some delivered to the council office so that you guys can access them. But we do have, there are brochures, recognizing that a significant portion of the population, despite the number of folks who find themselves in these circumstances and have the various handheld devices, we recognize there are still lots of folks who need that solid piece of paper in their hand to be able to see exactly what it is and where it is that they need to go to get help. And so we have those available, but we are continuing to look and to seek places in addition to SPAR, as the Councilman Everson made reference to. Ebony and Rashida and the rest of the staff put on an outstanding effort over at Bill Cockrell Park a week ago this past Saturday as a kickoff for this effort in terms of the community. But we'll be looking, as mentioned, for other ways, other areas, be it through the Housing Authority, various health clinics, most especially through our churches and other venues out there that can help us increase the level of awareness of what's available so that we can ultimately end up giving people a chance to be able to make use of what's offered. And again, I want to thank the staff for their work in pulling this effort together, but most especially I want to thank those financial institutions who got outside of their silos, got outside of their normal means and ways of doing business, and saw the real vision that's behind this effort and came to the table and formed this coalition of financial institutions that makes it possible for us to be able to offer to our citizens what Bank on Shreveport actually does. So we look forward to going forward, and certainly thank Ebony for the outstanding work that she's doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ebony. Next, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, want to express great thanks and appreciation to the folks at the parish who's here. I see represented today by Commissioner Matthew Lynn, Parish President Lindora Baker, and also John George, who is the current chairman of the Biomedical Research Foundation. They are leading a delegation of folks that I think will include two of your own, Councilwoman McCullough as well as Councilmember Everson. I'm led to believe you'll have a chance to be able, I believe, on tomorrow and Thursday, to go to Austin, Texas, and be the guest of Dr. Bill Power, the president of the University of Texas, and Dale's first cousin, John Sibley, who is the John Sibley Butler, who is the head of an entity called the IC Squared, which is the an institute for entrepreneurial endeavors funded by the University of Texas, and that helps to provide a platform for entrepreneurial efforts and initiatives that are in and around the Austin community. I had the opportunity on week before last to get a chance to visit with Dr. Sibley Butler again and the folks over there, and again had a chance to be able to see exactly up close and firsthand what they have done and what they are doing. I think it's very exciting that we have leadership here in Shreveport now that recognizes that it's important that we not stay within our own little space, our own little silo, but that we look to see what other entities and communities and institutions around the country are doing that happen to be enjoying a great deal of success, and see how we might be able to learn and get some insight in terms of how we might be able to come back here and elevate and advance our own efforts. That was very much in line with the recent inner city visit to Birmingham that a group of 50-plus Shreveporters just returned from, and this particular effort is right in that very same spirit. So we look forward to the discussion and the dialogue that will ensue once they return, and see how it might end up putting us on a better path to advancing the economic growth of Shreveport, Bossier, and Northwest Louisiana. I want to also very quickly express appreciation to the folks with the Makers Fair for yet another outstanding effort that was on display this past Saturday here in downtown Shreveport in the Shreveport Common area. That effort was followed up by the Second Unseen, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which was an outstanding effort. Started off with a double feature film production or movie production that ended up being shown on the closest thing I've seen to a downtown drive-in theater in Shreveport. I enjoyed the portion of the first feature. Mr. Chairman, before I wrapped up to go stick my head in over at the Shreveport Opera, and then from there I boogied on out to the LSUS tailgate that was taking place out at LSU Shreveport, the first of its kind to my recollection, where they also had a drive-in size video screen up and showed the first half of the LSU Alabama football game. I kind of wrapped up and headed in another direction at halftime, and I guess that's when the wind came out of the sails of our efforts, and we won't talk about how the rest of that turned out, but that was another great event. I want to commend the leadership there at LSU Shreveport for putting that on. It was a great community building effort, and it's something that we hope that they will continue to do in the years to come. Also, Sunday marked the end of an outstanding run again of the Louisiana State Fair, a century-plus long event that helps to be a significant part of the quality of life of Shreveport. And then, lastly, three things: if you have not yet gone online and or dial the number and voted for The Voice, Shreveport yet again has another participant in the NBC The Voice competition. Shreveport's Cole Vosberry is one of the top 12. He's aspiring to become one of the top 10. That voting is currently underway, and if you haven't yet voted, I would encourage you to go and do so. And I'm going to have that number for you before we wrap up here. I want to also express great thanks and appreciation, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, to Scott Martinez and Stephen Moray and the folks at the Louisiana Department of Economic Development. But most especially, I want to express thanks to the folks at Libby Glass in Toledo, Ohio, for the recently announced decision to not only keep 511 jobs here in Shreveport, I believe right between Mr. Shine and Mr. Jenkins' district, there on Jewella, where we're doing some of that street work, council members. Not only will we have the benefit of being able to keep 511 jobs, there's going to be an addition of 70 additional jobs at Libby Glass, as well as a $20 million investment into a research and development unit here at the local operation. And Shreveport was selected for this investment over the headquarters in Toledo, Ohio, as well as the out-of-country Libby Glass installations as well. And so I think it speaks well of the leadership here in Louisiana, but most importantly, it speaks well of the quality of the worker here in Louisiana. And so we want to express not only thanks and appreciation, but also to let all the folks involved from NLEP to LED, to all of those here at the city and the parish, that was yet again another example of a team effort. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, as you all probably already know, we had the announcement last week that Whole Foods is coming to Shreveport. And so that is one that we can check off that long list of things that we continually have folks that come up and ask us about as we move around the city. The lease has been signed. They will be located on the corner of Fern and East 70th Street. We anticipate that groundbreaking will take place early part of next year, and hopefully they'll end up having a chance to open up before 14 wraps up. If not, doors will open shortly thereafter. With that, Mr. Chairman, turn it back over to you and the council and say thank you very much.
We're going to work on getting the Madelyns to come to Shreveport and put them out there on Mansfield Road.
Well, now we'll go make that ass too, Mr. Webb.
And
that's a good pastry place.
One of the things that helped Mr. Chairman Libby Glass make that decision was the street is being fixed in front of Libby Glass. I think Mr. Chairman, that probably helped them.
That was probably pretty high on their checklist.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it was.
I know State Representative Barbara Norton was instrumental in helping them get some state money to help do some of the infrastructure work that was done along the railroad line there. Of course, we partnered at the city of Shreveport, but as you all hear me say all the time, there's a whole lot more to do there along that stretch of Jewella, as well as we go further south. We're off to a good start, and no doubt that helped to influence it, and hopefully we'll end up being able to get a little bit more to go along with it.
Every job addition is a good job.
That's right. When the trucks
like to
leave,
hear
I
that.
don't have to worry about bumping and breaking up a lot of glass.
Thank you, Mayor Glover. At this time, does any council member have any questions or concerns relative to property standards?
Mr. Chairman, before we go, would it be I know Mr. Norris wanted to approach the council in reference.
I've got him in
You got
public
him on?
comments.
So, okay, later on, okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, before you leave, exactly, I promised I was gonna give out that number for Cole Vosbury because lines are still open. And it's 1-877-553-3711.
Perfect.
I voted 21 times for him this morning in case some others don't get the vote.
Yeah.
And we'll give that out again at the end of the meeting.
Thank you much.
All right, I believe we've all received our revenue collection report via email. Mr. Sibley, we have a briefing on that report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of notes. I think y'all may have noticed from the report that for the past 3 months, we've had an increase of over 3% in sales tax, and we're actually only down 0.3% for the year. More importantly, that's 0.3% off the goal that we projected as ending the year with for the city of Shreveport in terms of sales tax collection. So we feel really good about that. We also would like to note, if you look at the other revenue sheet that y'all have, if you look at those numbers, and what is not included in that number is an estimated $1.2 million additional dollars that we expect to get in other revenue, including UPL payments that are not currently reflected in the budget. So we feel good, notwithstanding the fact that Riverfront, continues to show a bit of a slide, but that being a relatively small part of our overall budget. But in terms of our major drivers, property taxes, sales taxes, those numbers appear to be in line to allow us to end the year as we projected, and we're hopeful for that will continue. We're actually hopeful that it will exceed, because where we are now, if we average a little over $8.5 million per month for the next 2 months, then we will exceed that number. And if you notice, the lowest collection we've had this year, even in the worst month, has been about $8.6 million. The lowest of the past couple of years has been about 8.4, 8.5. So we feel pretty good, and hopefully folks will keep spending money, and we'll be able to end the year a little bit better than we projected early on.
And I'll say it was encouraging to see that the increases are not limited to just one or two fields. I mean, they were more spread out than in
Exactly.
past
If you look at the
across
breakdown by
different industry
class,
sectors, so
all across the board.
yeah.
Hotel motel continues to be a challenge, but car sales are still looking good, and as Jeff indicated, business classes across all spectrums, except obviously some of those specific to some of the mining operations, has really experienced a bit of a turnaround.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, the sales tax for the mall,
Yes, sir.
where do we stand on it, on our percentage?
Overall, and I have a sheet here. Overall, for this year, which includes August, September, and October, there's been about 86,000 collected. And Charles, he's back there, whispering, Charles, on the Mall St. Vincent tax, about how much have we collected for the city's share? 86,000. That's our share. Okay, correct. Then a little over $86,240. That's our share. Yes, that's correct. That's our share.
That's 20% of the total?
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Sibley. Keep that good news coming.
We shall try, Mr. Chairman.
And we've also received our surety bond report. Any questions about that from Ms. Scott?
Continues now.
If not, brings us to public hearing on the 2014 budget. This public hearing is now open. Is there a presentation from the administration?
We can do a brief one, Mr. Chairman, but we had not prepared one, considering we've done about 3 or 4 of the past couple of weeks.
I am fine with no presentation.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Do we have anyone who would like to speak in favor of the proposed 2014 budget ordinance? And I do have one speaker who signed up, Ms. Pam Atchison.
Just think that through. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Pam Atchison, Shreveport Regional Arts Council. Well, that was a great report. Very optimistic for those of us who have not felt so optimistic recently. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Shreveport Regional Arts Council to, first of all, thank you for more than 30 years of being your partner. We were founded in 1976. literally, to partner with the city of Shreveport and to do something that quite frankly didn't happen. We were here to take something off the back of SPAR. I think Shelley would agree that in us taking the arts out of the realm of what SPAR has to manage, we only gave them about 150 cajillion other things to manage. But the arts are not one of them. In 1976, it was determined that the arts needed to be a partner to the city because we had one asset that SPAR didn't have at the time, and that was the ability to go out with city funding and match that city funding with other public funding, private sector funding, and earned income. And so the idea was that rather than the arts becoming a literal department of the city of Shreveport, the arts should be an arm, the nonprofit partner and arm, and maximize the city's investment. And I hope that over 30 years you would agree that we've all done a great job of partnering together to do just that. In talking about the way we were founded, first of all, to take one burden off of the back of the Shreveport Public Assembly and Recreation, we were also founded to take one burden off of your backs, and that was to stop the 35 different nonprofit art organizations from knocking at your door for funding, and for the Arts Council to become the overseer of the grants process for those organizations. So since 1978, when we received our first city funding, we've been overseeing an annual grant process that awards art organizations based on the merit of their proposal a grant. We monitor the grant, and then we do site visits and we watch for final reports. So we assume the accounting for those grants, and we also are happy to partner with you to be the agency that sees the funds go directly to the Black Cultural Arts Coalition. That organization receives a direct allocation through our allocation from you, and I hope you'll remember that together the coalition funding and the re-grants that we make to all art organizations, including some of the major organizations, but also including every nonprofit art organization, accounts for 55% of the allocation that you award TRAC. We turn right around and grant that out. The third reason really that you all agreed to have an arts council was so that we could, I'm sorry, excuse me, so that we could extend the programming of the 1976 Red River Revel throughout the year. That's right, we were founded at the same time of the Revel. And the Revel had an outstanding arts and education program and brought in national artists. And the City Council very much wanted to see that this opportunity for people to engage high-quality art from professional artists and use those professional artists also to work in our local community to create new works of art. And over 30 years, more than 250 national artists have come in our community, worked with our local arts community, and sometimes with our students to produce new works of art. And finally, you wanted us to engage all citizens in experiencing and making art on their own. And so programs like the Art Break Festival, programs such as Art Space, which has 15 exhibitions a year and always hands-on activities for young people. Programs like Arts and Education, like our collaboration with Downtown Development Authority on the third Thursday night trolley. And by the way, this month, it's Independence Bowl month. You'll actually throw a football downtown. I'm not sure how it's artistic, but it certainly is vibrant. And Mayor Glover, you'll love it. And then also the work now in the Central Art Station Engine Room, where every week there's a new art program going on. Public art, we talked about bike paths earlier, 10 new bike racks in the city of Shreveport just in the past 6 months. So I just want you to think about the fact that in 2009, in addition to those things, you gave us a new mandate, and that mandate was to use the offices of the new Central Art Station, from the fire to the Central Fire Station to the Central Art Station, to renewing a blighted area, 9-block area in downtown Shreveport on the border, part of the HUD Choice Neighborhood Communities, Shreveport Common. And we've been working very hard. I'm quite proud to tell you today that with the leadership of Caddo Parish, the call for a landscape architect to design the 1.3-acre heart of Shreveport Common, called Caddo Common, has gone out. It's been advertised now twice, and we will by January know who will be designing that new park. And as Mayor Glover so kindly said, we're now producing every month a one-day, all-day new experience to help people see what's been unseen in this neighborhood, what's really cool, groovy, hip, makes everybody feel like they're discovering a new part of Shreveport and starting to attract our young people back. In the first month, and some of our older people back. Homer Flynn from Byrd High School came in October, graduated in 1969, founded the band The Residents. He was here in October, along with 2 students from Caddo Magnet High, who now made their way back to curate the MSPS sound experience. And then last month, of course, just last weekend, working. Well, I'll finish quickly and just simply say, and in December, we bring in the international group called Inside Out to work with all of the residents of Shreveport Common. And now we are talking about Providence House and Mercy Center, the Lighthouse, the VOA McAdoo. They will take portraits of all of the residents who are already in Shreveport Common, and then we will blow those up poster size and paste them on the side of the data store building. A great partnership with a private business owner, and again, with the help of the city of Shreveport. I just hope again that you'll know we've never lost sight of the fact that we are your arts arm. Please don't lose sight of the fact that we are your partner and that we go out and the money that you do award us, we directly match $10 for every $1 we receive. When you add all of the re-grant organizations that receive 55% of our funding, it's $20 that we're out raising funds for every $1 you award. I hope you'll allow us to continue to maximize your investment in making Shreveport the next, the now, great city of the South. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the proposed 2014 budget ordinance? Okay.
I want to support the budget with one caveat. Unless and until we sell bonds again, the sub-object 9315 is not going to be debited, because if you don't sell bonds, the capital projects won't have funds appropriated for the credits. Mr. Grigsby, gentlemen, and Rose, is not Bernie Madoff. So we need to steer this bond thing to a sale early next year. Well, guide, steer is a bad word, because that's just a bull who's lost his social standing. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of the 2014 budget ordinance?
I saw Miss Irma Rogers. Is she still in?
She is.
Did you want to?
He is not part of that one. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Good afternoon, Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. The gravest concern that I have in terms of our area, MLK, is that I'm hoping the revenues as reported, some of the taxes reported by Mr. Sibley, will come forward, because there is still much needed efforts in our area. As I've mentioned on several occasions, our area grew with the 2010 census, and it's still growing. So there are things that need to be addressed, and so I'm hoping that this budget will allow for those. I did see some of the streets and drainage issues here, but I'm hoping that we will allow for that in our budget, because our citizens do deserve better streets and drainage systems than what we have now. And our systems are newer. We know that the funding, that the prices had to go up for our water and sewerage, but our area has newer lines. I know there are new things that the government is asking for you to do, but since our area was annexed, our lines were newer at that time. So we're asking you, please consider the streets and drainage issues that we have been proposing for so long in this budget. Thank you so much.
Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? If not, is there anyone who would wish to speak in opposition to the proposed 2014 budget ordinance? Don?
One way or the other.
So she advocating for us.
We'll give you the neutral passes.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be brief, succinct, and evenly distribute my thoughts to each council member. I hear people coming up here, I can't be for or against the bond, or the budget, or the taxes, because there are parts of them that do great things. There are parts of them that have been swiftly pulled up and earmarked at the drop of a hat, which could have been used in better places. But the new budgets that come out that will be adopted are sort of lacking in pay for the vast majority of the employees of this city. I've been with the city for 13 years. In those last 13 years, 7 of them, we have not gotten a raise. They're employees that come here every day. They give it their heart, their soul, and their entire backbone. They work. They're proud of what they do. And all that our employees asked is that they be treated fairly, equitably, and respectfully. We have a multi-agency government. Not everything that people think of the city of Shreveport as being what it is. The airport is not the city of Shreveport. It's in the city of Shreveport. It's not part of this budget. The library, clerk of court. These are what I would consider quasi-governmental agencies. But our employees have come in every day and worked. And the words we get are, work more with less, work harder, work more efficient. Well, if every department had that same philosophy, that would be fair and equitable. But that's not true. Employees come in because they need to put food on their table, a roof over their head, and clothes on their back. My father taught me many years ago, work hard, you get ahead. Get an education, you'll get ahead. Work hard, get an education, and you will succeed. And that's not true with this city. While I can't blame or point the finger at anybody on this administration, the administration has always come up with incentives to keep the best and the brightest employees in this workforce.
Chairman.
So moved.
And some of them were, years ago, we had an educational program where we assisted our employees to get an education, which in turn would help the city become more effective and efficient. That was great. However, it got abused, was done away with. But in order to keep some of those people who had shown that initiative, select groups of individuals or select groups of organizations, and we pay them for their education when it is not requirements. And it was this council, not you, but the city council said we have to give them an incentive to stay. So we're going to pay you for your college degree because we want to keep you. We're going to pay you or give you a tax rebate to live in areas that are dangerous. Yet you have employees who live in those areas that are not getting incentives. We have not had raises when other departments, and I have nothing against the police and fire, they do an admirable job. They get 2% every year, period. Whether that's by city ordinance, whether that's by civil service, it still occurs. And to most people in this community, and to most people that work for this community and in the city, that perception is reality. They also get $100 for an associate degree, $150 for a bachelor's degree, and $200 for a master's degree, regardless of whether it's in that field or not. We have people in the Department of Finance who have undergraduate degrees in accounting and business that are CPAs. How much more related can a CPA and a finance department be, but yet they get nothing? It's not a requirement. They did it to better themselves and their job. I knew we weren't going to get a raise this year because we didn't go up on the insurance. Insurance rates aren't going up, so there's no money. We have money to do special projects. One of the things that came up when we altered the fee from SWEPCO from 3 to 5.
Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
Second.
We took those funds and immediately attacked them with bonds for streets and drainage. Now, those are important things. Don't get me wrong. People don't pick up your trash. That's an important thing. But who's going to pick it up? Any of you, all of them at the council going to come out and pick it up? No. It's the hard workers who don't make much money will get up and do it. You, as a council, if you want to make and continue to make this city grow, you have to pay the core people of this city. Streets and drainage don't work. Roads don't get taken care of. Finance doesn't cut checks. Nobody takes baths. They live in squalor. No water for fire. You lose your ratings. So there is a core group of people that are being ignored. And I sat in and listened to someone speak a couple of weeks ago about pay raises. The sentiment was, well, we're trying to make ends meet. We don't want to have to let anybody go. You know, we're trying to do the best we can. And then 2 weeks later, your employees, the city council, gives every one of their staff an 8% raise. Now, I realize that they are appointed individuals, but explain that to all the employees out here who have not gotten a raise in 7 years. 3 council meetings ago, positions were reactivated in certain departments. Now we have 4 or 5 new deputy directors in some departments that heretofore were not there. They create and make by giving raises for positions that 10 years ago had not been used. In order for everyone to work together, they have to be equitable, treated fairly, paid as if they provide a service and they're not a second thought. I was going to tell you the story of 3 people that came to work for the city of Shreveport.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Norris, appreciate it if you begin to wrap up your comments.
Well, that's the thing. I could go on for hours on it, but
I know you can, and you can certainly come back Saturday to budget meeting and talk to us as well.
3 people come to work here making $2,600 a month. 2 of those individuals will get $400 or $500 raises in 6 months. Then those same 2 different groups will get another $500 a month in raises. And then starting on the 3rd year, a 2% guaranteed raise for the rest of their career, and 364 hours of sick time, when every other employee has to earn it as they go. Any of y'all think that's fair and equitable? Then so be it. I personally do not. My assistant and myself run a department where other people of the same job description are making 3 times what we make with the same job description. Why have job descriptions? You know why? Because they're appointed. I just feel that before you pass the budget and before you dole out money to other outside agencies that do provide a great service for this city, you look deep in that budget and find funds for the people that make it happen. Y'all do a great job, but it's time to buckle up and take care of those, as they say, that brought you to the dance. Thank you.
Mr. Norris. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition of the budget ordinance? If not, this public hearing is now closed. Mr. Thompson, I believe we're at adding items to the agenda today.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We have 4 items that the council can consider to add to the agenda. Resolution 207 declares November the 2013 as Homelessness Awareness Month. It contains much of the information that Mrs. Simone Hennessy recently presented. Resolution 208 states the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Home Federal Bank to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program. The public hearing will be on November the 26th. First agenda said it would be on December the 10th, but we have narrowed that down. It will be on November the 26th. The next is the log jammers resolution. We just received it. Let me find it. It's a resolution suspending the effect of Section 10-54 of the Code of Ordinances in connection with the application for a special events alcohol permit for the log jammer half marathon and 5K on November the 17th, 2013. And the 4th one is ordinance number 148. It repeals ordinance number 112 of 2013, which created a 2-way stop intersection at Cresswell Avenue and Southfield Road, and it enacts the intersection of Cresswell and Southfield as a 4-way stop intersection.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of adding these items to the agenda? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of adding these items to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, if not, I'd like to move to have these pieces of legislation added to the agenda.
Motion by Vice Chair, seconded by Councilman Oliver Jenkins to add to the agenda. If no discussion, please vote. And that is 7 yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have quite a few public comments. If not, I wanted to take a couple items out of order. Maybe.
I have one request possibly at this time. Is Ms. Sally Spruill? Did you still want to make a comment? This is your time. Come on.
Bicycle pass on the agenda?
It's not. She should have been able to speak.
I'm Sally Spruill, 4537 Gilbert Drive. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to quote something from To Kill a Mockingbird quickly because it kind of sums up me, kind of, sort of. It's a definition of courage. It's when you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway, and you see it through no matter what. You rarely win, but sometimes you do. So I'm just here to say that one of the components that is missing sometimes from many things is the component of the neighborhoods and the neighbors. And I applaud the community, Lauren's group, A Better Shreveport, for their desire to create bike paths. In light of the budget situation, it's an overwhelming thing sometimes. But I'd like to simply say that if we could pay attention to when we start to do things and how it affects or potentially could affect the neighborhoods that they go through. That's really all I'd like to bring attention to, because I find that in a lot of the advisory committees and things, and I think this was brought up recently, that the neighbors are kind of left out. I know there's the Council of Neighborhoods that's being formed, and there's a desire to encourage neighborhood participation, but if maybe we could be brought in sooner on some of these discussions, I think it would make for a better Shreveport in many ways. I'm not going to go on from here, but I'm going to say publicly that if Councilman Everson, if you are in charge of a lot of the street things that go on and you're passionate about streets, I am too. And I'd love the opportunity to meet with you at another time and maybe talk further about neighborhood street development.
Certainly, we'd be happy to discuss it with you, and we're all, we're all equally involved in it. I do happen to chair the infrastructure committee, which gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit more in depth about it. So we'd certainly welcome the conversation.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We have no confirmations or appointments today, Mr. Thompson. That brings us to our legislative items, and I believe that Councilman Sam Jenkins would like to take a couple of things out of order, if possible.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to suspend the rules so we could take up the introduction of resolution number 205. It's the CBA with the city employees, and I do that because I know we have a few people down here and maybe one from out of town. Rather than make them wait much longer, we could take that one up. Resolution 205, I believe it's just for introduction, isn't that right?
It is for introduction, Mr. Chairman. It authorizes the execution of a collective bargaining agreement with the Louisiana Public Employees Council number 17, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 1325.
And it's my understanding, Mr. Chairman, that the rank and file of city employees have taken a look at it and it's in agreement. I know on yesterday you had talked about maybe some review of this document with us today. I don't know if the administration is prepared to do that today, and if so, if we could go ahead and do that, and then maybe we could take a vote on this introduction. Is that proper protocol? Can we do that this way? Okay.
We're prepared, and Mr. Jenkins, you're correct. We were asked yesterday, and as indicated, we only forwarded this legislation after we received notice from both the state and the local that they were in agreement with that particular agreement. And at this point, I would ask Ms. Scott, the city attorney, to come forward and just provide a brief overview of what's contained within all those pages that y'all have in front of you. And I might note it is on today simply for introduction.
In law school, Mr. Sibley, you may recall, we used to call it the poop.
There you go.
Material.
And I promise to make it brief. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the legislation that you have in front of you today, one of the items is to authorize the execution of a collective bargaining agreement with what we call AFSCME Local 1325. The process to get us to this point started back in 2010 with the adoption of a resolution by the previous city council that authorized the mayor, after the completion of a successful card check, to begin negotiations with AFSCME Local 1325. After that card check was completed in January of 2011, and the fact sheet that has been presented to you outlines the results of that card check, we received a total of 507 votes of the 508 votes, I'm sorry, of the 507 that were necessary to certify the card check as being successful. Once that was done, we actually sat down with the city's negotiating team that was led by Mr. Sibley and included Charles Madden, Finance Director, Shelley Regal, Director of Public Assembly and Recreation, Mr. Stan Harris, Director of Public Works, and Angelita Jackson and myself. We were represented and had legal counsel provided by S. Price Barker and Brian Carney with the law firm of Cook, Yancey, King, and Galloway. We met over several months with representatives from the state office as well as local representatives of AFSCME Local 1325, and what is before you today is a compilation of that. One thing I'd like to point out as you go through the agreement itself is that one of the things that was understood from the beginning of the process is that we were trying to make sure from the city's team and as explained to the union representatives that the end result of the agreement that was presented, we were trying to make sure that it did not increase the expenses on the city, either in terms of personnel cost or the cost to administer the agreement. I believe that we were successful in doing that, and again, we want to thank the union representatives for agreeing to the terms of the agreement that is put before you. The agreement is proposed for an initial 2-year term with an option to renew for 2 additional years. As Mr. Sibley has said, all the terms and conditions in what is presented before you today has been reviewed and favorably recommended for submittal to you by the union representatives. In large part, you will also notice that a lot of the agreement is similar to or mirrors the terms of the city's current personnel rules. And what we tried to do was to be consistent and not interject or change too many of the terms of the current personnel rules to make sure that they are consistent. That way, since the personnel rules had already been approved by and reviewed by the members of the city's personnel or HR board, again, those rules were done, they became effective, they apply to all city employees, and our goal, our secondary goal, was to make sure that the terms of the collective bargaining agreement would not be inconsistent with the terms of the personnel rules. And so in large part, a lot of this agreement tracks the terms of the personnel rules in terms of employee benefits, employee holidays, leaves of absence. There is a provision that also recognizes current ordinance provisions in regard to AFSCME Local 1325, or an employee having the opportunity to have a union representative present to represent them, or to simply be present during personnel or pre-disciplinary conferences. That provision is currently included in city ordinance, and it is now reflected in this collective bargaining agreement as well. I think that is about the high points of the agreement. In terms of grievances, let me point out that the terms of the personnel rules are also incorporated into this agreement as it relates to handling of employee grievances. Again, the goal being that we would not be inconsistent with the terms of the personnel rules. We believe it is a workable agreement. The initial 2-year term is short enough so that we'll all have an opportunity to determine at the end of that first term whether or not there are things that should be amended in any way as we go through the process. If this is adopted by the City Council, then there will be subsequent meetings with the union representatives as they inform us of who their stewards will be, who their representatives will be, and as we actually have further discussion in implementing the terms of the agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Any questions?
If none, I would like to move for introduction of
Second.
resolution number 205.
Motion by Councilman
Mr.
Sam
Chairman.
Jenkins, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. Discussion.
In discussion, just before we move to introduce this, I know we all saw it, I think we have maybe 2 or 3 people here from labor.
Well, we have Mr. Wilson specifically, who was one of the heads of the state AFSCME. Mr. Wilson was the lead on that side, as well as some of the local union reps, and we also have the local president, Mr. Cordell Allen, who's a Shreveport employee.
Would you, Mr. Sibley, would you have them to stand, and if anyone would like to come forward and just make a small comment, if you're totally satisfied at this particular point, you don't have to come forward.
Well, obviously, there were areas we disagreed on, so.
Well, I understand that. I mean, you're going to disagree with your, well, I don't know what I need to say this to Sam, but you're going to disagree with your wife sometimes on some things.
Correct.
But, you reach a common, you reach a common consensus.
And I think that's what
and
we are.
that's what we're looking at, a common consensus, not individual or specific things that you might disagree on, but if there was a common consensus that was reached.
How you doing today? I'm Cordell Allen of the Street and Drainage Department, also the president of Acme Local 1325 of the City Workers Union. And a brief comment here about this agreement that we are all coming to an understanding with, that we have reached out and agreed with the City of Shreveport and the Union of Local 13-25, and we have ratified this contract, and we think the council, we thank you in advance for your consideration and or possible approval of this contract, because we would like for this to go forward, that we are able to work with city officials as city employees. And we only ask for the same respect that we do give the city of Shreveport in our hard work in the fields. When I was coming up to speak about that, but I guess I was a little late, as Mr. Norris came up and spoke so well about our concerns. And the one that he spoke about with the pay raises and such was one of those that were so happened to have been amended from the contract that should have stayed in, that we revisited at the time that the city was able to give them in increases. And we found that there are increases in the budget. And we only ask that you consider the employees before going to an outside entity to give out monies that the city employees are so well deserving of. Thank you.
So, Mr. Sibley, I do see that there was a common consensus, and that was the only thing that we wanted to make sure. We know that there might be a few T's crossed and a few I's dotted that, you know, might not be inconsistent, but the whole contract. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much.
Ready for the vote, Mr. Chairman? We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
All right, please vote. This is for introduction. 7 yes, no opposed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suspend the rules and call case number BAC 133-13. That is a MPC appeal. Actually, clerk, can you call that one up, please, sir?
Zoning appeal BAC 133-13, 3049 Martin Luther King, Floyd Edward Williams, south side of MLK Drive, 200 feet west of Havana. Special exception use and variance in size and number of accessory structures in an R1H SPI 2 district.
I'll yield to Councilwoman McCulloch at this time. I know this is an item that's in her district, but I did express that I may have to leave the meeting early today, and I did want to weigh in on this one way or the other, and that's why I'd like to just possibly bring it on up at this time if the Councilwoman doesn't mind.
Oh, that's fine. But before someone speaks, I'd like for MPC, somebody from MPC to come up and just kind of bring everybody up to speed on this particular situation so that you'll have the history. Roy, you're going to come?
Mr. Jambar is on the way.
Okay. Could you give us dates, you know, as you make your...
Well, I can be approximate. You guys may remember
Okay.
that, I don't know, several months ago, you passed an ordinance that was initiated from the MPC that basically eliminated the use by right of mobile homes or manufactured homes in all but certain districts that are designated as mobile home subdivisions, etc. This gentleman, and now it of course is a special exception use approval. This gentleman showed up at the Zoning Board of Appeals to get that special exception approval to locate a mobile home on Martin Luther King Drive. And the issue became, is this an appropriate location for a mobile home or not? That's in essence the basis of the appeal.
Okay.
The ZBA decided that it was not, and he has appealed to you, suggesting that that was an erroneous decision.
Okay, my concern has been, it sounds as if though he had made application with MPC as well as zoning, and some things had been approved.
No, ma'am, it was previously a use by right,
Okay.
in that district so long as long as it was what you might normally call a double wide. That was used to be a use by right in certain districts, but that use by right was eliminated by this council
2 months ago, you said?
several months ago.
Okay. And so, but prior to that, he had been trying to get, it sounds like in talking to Floyd, and I'm going to ask him to come up in a few minutes, that he got the go-ahead on everything except when he got ready to apply for his permit.
He did not need a go-ahead prior to that point in time till you guys changed the ordinance.
Okay.
He simply had to go get a building permit to have the mobile home moved on site because it was a use by right.
Okay.
What changed is the ordinance itself.
Okay, the ordinance changed.
Right.
Okay.
And came through this council.
Could we maybe hear from Floyd, Chap?
We have, we need to hear from him, and also Mr. Willie White has requested to
Okay.
speak.
And I'd like for the city attorney to weigh in on this too, Mr. Chairman,
Right.
at an appropriate time, because I know there was a change in the ordinance, so I just want to see what we have.
If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Floyd Edward Williams, 2203 West Algonquin Trail, Shreveport, Louisiana. As it's been stated, I started working on this project in the year 2012, and due to unpredictable circumstances, I wasn't able to make the financial adjustments on it at that time, so I did some other research. And this whole thing concerns the property at 3049 Martin Luther King Drive. That's property that I inherited from my father after he passed. I also purchased the property adjacent to it at 3047 at that time, and I had that structure diminished and started prepping it. This has been a long time plan of mine that I put a lot of thought into. I consulted with the zoning office here 2005, and they said that in order to use the two combining lots, I had to make them one single lot. So I had the property surveyed, I had a new plat drawn, I went down, had it registered with the land tax office, and I got an RH1 zoning approval at the parish courthouse in preparation for my plan of occupying my land again. And when I came down and talked to him here at City Plaza, everything was, as the gentleman said, it was use by right. So I spent a lot of time being considerate of the property that I had, what I needed to do. I came down and I asked the questions, and everybody was congenial in talking with me and telling me the process. But through it all, there never was any indication that I would run into any type distractions with my plans. As I was reviewing models and looking at possible selections on my home, I kept into consideration the area that I was going to, the location, the structures around, even the David Raines Community Health Center that's connected to my lot. When they got ready to move in, I got a letter in the mail that was being a request for rezoning. So I went down, came down to the office here, and I asked the lady, I said, well, you know, exactly what's going on. She explained to me that this will have no effect on you, that the people that are requesting this rezoning can only rezone the land that they own. She said they will be required to put a privacy fence between your property and theirs. So I had no problem. I was in total agreement. I love that neighborhood, and they came in and they sent me a letter asking if I would be interested in donating or selling my land. And I responded, no, the land has sentimental value to me, and I intend to live there again. I'm not interested in selling. And they went ahead and built their building. I just proceeded to presume that they were satisfied with the land they had. Nobody said anything to me about any future plans or having any expected use of my land anymore. And so I continued with my plans. And after I made my selection, I came back down to the office, permit office, and they told me I needed to have a site plan. So I put together my site plan, ordered my building, completed my financing, signed all my contractual papers, come down to get my permit. That's when they tell me I've got to go to another office. The process has changed. I wasn't quite familiar with the change. I didn't know, and I guess I didn't ask a whole lot of questions about it. I completed the process and everything, and they gave me a meeting date to come meet with the MZB board. Came down to that meeting, and I had no idea. I talked with my neighbors, and they were all excited for me, and they were like, man, when you gonna get started, And so I'm getting ready to get started. And then I get the opposition from a non-residential entity that says they were the development team from Southern University. I wasn't aware of none of that. It really had a great impact on me. When they were getting ready to build their building, I was contacted and asked for the use of my land to help them in the construction of their building. And I obliged them at no charge and was proud to see them coming there. I think that what they've done here is just a ploy to intimidate me and hinder and discourage my plan to better themselves with the use of my land. I feel it unjust that they even had the opportunity, being a non-residential entity. They're distinctive in themselves to say that putting a trailer home, a mobile home, in is a devalue to their property. I don't take that to be just grounds with the distinction that they have as the entity that they are there. It just doesn't seem morally right to starve out the neighborhood to nourish the business community. The master plan that we're getting involved with now, one of the strategic goals of it is to infill residential development. We were in that area. We were a neighborhood when Southern University came in. When they built there, we were a neighborhood. And we were proud to have them to come into our area. But it appears now that they're taking the stands to front their influence to cause undue burden on us that should be considered their neighbors. It's just not fair. I'm standing here wholeheartedly this evening asking that to the facts that I'm prepared to meet the ordinance of the city. I have completed my financial contracts and everything in this project, that you all would give me considerable favor, and grant me the use of my land to put my home on it and be happy. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We have a few other people who'd like to speak on this topic. Council will now recognize Willie White.
Good afternoon. Willie White, Chief Executive Officer for David Raines Community Health Centers, 3041 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Our facilities are next to Mr. Williams' property. I certainly concur with Mr. Williams in terms of his comments concerning the development of our project there, which started back in 09-10 to develop our administrative offices on the property adjacent to his, in terms of him allowing us some access through his property during the construction phase of our building. And also, we concur that David Raines Community Health Centers did approach Mr. Williams to inquire about purchasing that property. Of course, our hope was at that time that with the vacant property that was there, that we would have a more extensive development. We have worked with Southern University, and we're aware of the master plan that is supporting mixed-use development along the MLK corridor and to revitalize that area. We've invested approximately $2 million in that facility and the associated outfitting of that building as part of what we viewed at the time as an effort to, again, bring additional revitalization to that area as one of the businesses that did locate on MLK. We are simply of the opinion that the request is not in compliance with the current zoning. We believe it would be inconsistent with the master plan as we understand it, and we feel that the location of a mobile home adjacent to our administrative offices would not be something that we would be in favor of. And we would just ask that the council uphold the ruling from the zoning board that denied the exception for the location of a mobile home on this property. Thank you.
Council now recognize Ms. Irma Rogers.
To the chair. Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. Primarily, our objections to placing the mobile home here is that our efforts have been to increase the economic development in the MLK area. As part of the Martin Luther King Community Development Corporation, that has been an impetus for us for the past 9.5 years. Southern did make a plan, and there's also been a master plan, the Shreveport-Bossier master plan. As part of that, this corridor was listed as a business prime location for business development. Southern University is brought into the process, David Raines was brought into this process, and several other individuals. Now, we do understand while people do not wish to sell their property, that is their right and that is their privilege. However, if our area is going to grow, we have to look at the future. We have to look at the future of economic development. As I explained to the MPC and the ZBA, we will start similar to what Line Avenue did. When the homes went down, businesses came up. The house was torn down, you got the Shreveport Eye Clinic. You had the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic with Dr. Watkins and that group. Those businesses came up as a result of homes going down on Line Avenue, way prior to Uri Drive becoming a business corridor. So this is the concept that we have taken. I'm sorry that the gentleman did not come to some of the meetings. We had several master plan meetings. We spoke about it in our local meetings, both the Neighborhood Association and the MLK CDC and others. And we tried as best we could to communicate to our citizens that there are people who will not come and get the information. I understand it's hurt, but my understanding in speaking with our MPC person, Dr. Wilson, is that the ordinance was changed primarily because many individuals would come up and they would rename these houses as prefab or another name for it, but it becomes a mobile home. Also, I think the point was brought up that this may not have been his primary residence. That was a question at that meeting. And there was some concerns from Dr. Wilson that it might be put up to be rented out or something of this nature. With all that in mind, we're looking at the future. And our future, if we intend to have an economic base, would depend upon how many businesses we can put on MLK. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rogers.
Ms. Rogers, just one thing before we go. Did you all have a chance to sit down and talk to Mr. Williams and explain to him what you just got through telling us?
I had one phone conversation with him, and that was after the MPC meeting. I spoke with him briefly by the phone, and I tried to explain some things. And I was concerned that the David Raines Center, the health centers, would not have offered him to buy his property. And I think it came out that they did offer, but I don't know what happened in those negotiations. We only had one phone conversation. He did call our offices at the MLK CDC, and I did call him back, and we did speak.
Council now recognize Darren Dixon.
Darren Dixon, 1938 Topplecott Drive, Shreveport, 71129. Good evening to you, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I come on behalf of the Southern University Community Development Corporation, who, as has been said, a few years ago did some neighborhood meetings and planning, trying to set out forth a master plan for that corridor, especially from Hillary Huckabee down to David Raines Road. We had a good start with developing a business and community development center there on the corner of Martin Luther King and Hillary Huckabee. And it was our hopes to work with the community and organizations and groups there to, as Ms. Rogers say, create some economic development and economic revitalization in that corridor, which would be good for our constituents, the faculty and students that we serve, as well as the community at large. I think it disheartens me to have to come up and stand before this board to be against a man's right to use his property for what it wish, but ultimately, I think we have to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, as Ms. Rogers has so stated, how do we shape the future? And I guess it's that simple. And as it does dishearten me, you can't go against what you have in writing, what this board passed as an ordinance that prohibits that. So my argument won't be against him, because I don't want to talk against him, but I have to just speak for the law. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else who has requested to speak on this topic, and I think Councilman Sam Jenkins had asked if the city attorney could speak to us a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm hoping that, is she?
She's here,
She's here,
Ms. Attorney Scott.
back in the corner.
I'm not used to her being way back in that corner over there.
Yeah, well, she needs to sit back there with that red on.
She's out of the line of fire back there.
Yes, sir.
Right, I'm simply trying to see, this has always been something of a sticky subject, and I know we want to be on good legal grounds. We have a scenario here now where, if it's my understanding, when we made the changes to the ordinance, we took away the use by right. The only way a person could come in under the present circumstances is through some exception. Is that a correct understanding of the state of the ordinance?
That is correct. When the ordinance was amended to change manufactured homes from a use by right, the ordinance change made them subject to special exception approval. There are conditions in the zoning ordinance under which special exception approvals should be considered. And the question for you is whether or not this particular application meets those requirements under the ordinance.
I guess specifically, what day was it approved? You've looked at the dates of when that ordinance change was approved and when he initiated his
I don't. I was actually trying to pull it up in the back. I have the ordinance number, but I don't have the date that the ordinance became effective, nor does the application that he filed with the MPC seeking special exception approval have a date on it. So that's information that we would need to know, because I see where you're going to see in terms of date.
We've done that drill already.
Yeah, which came first, but I don't have that information right now.
Can we make a motion to postpone this matter then? We need to get, what we need to know is, and I think what the council is wanting to know, is when did he start the process? When did the rules change? Now, I'm gonna give my opinion on it. My opinion on it is, if this application was before the CBA or before the MPC, after the change had took place, and they made a ruling based upon that, that's what I intend to support. Because there's gonna always be a first. When you make a change, there's always gonna be a first. And I believe the heart and the spirit of the changes that the council made was to try to prevent scenarios just like we're dealing with now, where we're having something that does not comply coming into a community or into a neighborhood that's already there and already established. So I'm just saying, I'm just sending that signal about where I'm at with it right now, because if we began to make these exceptions, District 8, next thing I know, you're going to make it in G, next thing I know, you're going to make it in C. I think what we've been trying to do,
And there will be others, yeah.
right, what we've been trying to do in light of recent rulings up here is keep some consistency about it and keep ourselves out of court behind things like this. So it's obvious to me that maybe there's some additional information that the council need to consider, but I would like to just go on record and say if this application was considered, was being considered under the new law, the new changes, it seems to me that what he wants to put there does not comply. I sympathize with the scenario that he's described. I do not think it takes his property away from him. I don't want anyone to think that. I think there's other structures that would comply and fit on the property that he has. It appears that he's just trying to put something there that does not fit under the new rules we have. If you're just going to ignore those new rules, I do not know why we went through that exercise. I do not know why we approved them in the first place. But we're not going to implement them and apply them. There's going to always be a first, and unfortunately, this may be a first. But, that's where I'm at this stage. I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, yeah, to continue it until our next meeting, and hopefully we can have that information made available to the council, so that we can make a decision on the case.
We'll get with the MPC staff to get the dates on the application and any other information that might be relevant.
And so that was one reason I asked Roy to give dates, so that everybody was clear as to when he actually started the process, you know, when the application was submitted, up to date on, you know, the changes as far as the ordinance and everything. So I guess if we postpone, then that would give us time to acquire those dates.
I don't think anything was grandfathered in though, right?
No. No,
You either, that application is either subject to the change in the law or it's not. That's what the question is going to be.
Mr. Chairman, Before, Councilman Jenkins make the motion to postpone, I would just like to ask Mr. Williams if he understands what's going on. Would you, I tell you, would you come forward? Would you come forward then, and before you ask your question, just 1 minute. I want Councilman Sam Jenkins to explain to you what he just said as soon as he, so you'll understand. Would you explain to Mr. Williams what you just got through saying? Because it seems like he didn't understand.
I'd be very happy to. First of all, I sympathize with your situation. I really do. But we've had a change in the ordinance that would have allowed what you are proposing to do be what's called a use by right. You have a right to do it. Can you hear me okay? You would have a right to do it, okay? That change now requires the council to give, or the MPC to give, some kind of special exception because you're doing something outside of what is allowed to be done on your property. The question that we want to get an answer for is, rather your application, what you're trying to do, has to be interpreted by the new law, the new changes. We just went through some changes to that ordinance to really talk about exactly what it is you're trying to do. Mobile homes and coming into certain areas and so on and so forth. So what we're wanting to do now is find out whether or not your case is a case that has to be decided upon the changes that have taken place in that ordinance. And it sounds to me that if your case is one that needs to be decided under those new rules, what you're trying to do does not comply with the new rules. Now, what we wanted to do is get the information from the MPC down here, some of the council members, wanted to get that down there so they could see the various dates and when some things changed. But I don't believe when we made those changes, we went back and grandfathered in somebody with pending applications or anything like that. I don't know. I'm willing to wait and see what that situation may be. We need to get the information.
Sure. The microphone. Absolutely.
I'm understanding what you're saying. When I made my MPC application is the date that you're looking at.
And what date was that? What date was that?
That would have been in the month of August. And what I was told...
What year?
2013.
In 2013, this year.
Oh, it was 13, it wasn't 12?
2013.
2013.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What I was told by the man in the office was that the change was made 2 weeks ago. My thing only was that I had been working with them in that office in the month of July and possibly in the month of August before the change, and it never was mentioned. At no time was there any indication that there was a change coming, there was possibilities of a change, there was nothing of that nature. And I guess to really say that if we're going by the date that Mr. Jenkins is speaking of, then it puts me out the box. Because that was the day I came in to make the application that I was told it was changed 2 weeks ago. So my application was in fact made after the change.
Okay.
And Mr. Williams, I want to try to bring this to a close for
Yes, sir.
today because I think we have the motion out to postpone. But what I do want to tell you is when the council comes back up with this on November 26th, the decision that we reach and what will be the basis of our decision will be on the legal standpoints, and unfortunately, possibly in this case, it's going to be on application dates, not dates where you begin to meet or have discussions. We have the legal standpoint of, we have to look at those actual application dates, and that's what we'll be looking at. And that's why we need 2 more weeks to gather that information and be sure that we have it to make an informed decision. Have a motion. Have a motion by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by Councilwoman McCullough. Postponed for 2 weeks. If there's no further discussion, please vote. And that is 7 yes.
One last one, Mr. Chairman. I promise you I'll be finished. Resolution number 199, authorizing the naming of the community room at Bill Cockrell in memory of George Marie Michael Moore Bowman. I think that one can be taken up with a vote today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Could we call that one and just do it by title only instead of reading the entire resolution?
199 authorizes the naming of the community room at Bill Cockrell Metro Park and Community Center to honor the memory of Joyce Marie Michael Moore Bowman for her service to the citizens of Shreveport Caddo Parish as a Caddo Parish Commissioner from 1999 until 2006, as a member of the Shreveport City Council from 2006 until 2010, and as Caddo Parish Commissioner from 2011 until her death on May the 26th, 2013.
So move.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilman Sam Jenkins, second by Vice Chair, and numerous others.
Yeah.
Please vote. Councilman Sam. That is 7 yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I'll actually be excused at this time.
Thank you,
Well,
Councilman
now that you got your
Jenkins.
stuff done, I guess it's time to go home. Well, have a good night. I mean,
You know, this is quite unusual for me.
You were not going to get a,
These meetings early.
there's not going to be a gold star by your name at the end of this meeting.
And Sam, before you go, leave your collection with Dale over there.
My collection?
Yeah, that's what you do in church, you know.
Oh,
If you
yeah,
get him,
I always leave it
get
for the
him
offering,
leave.
Mr. Shine.
They'll tell him, if you get him leave church too soon, they say,
Mr.
well,
Thompson,
you know,
I
you
believe
go,
that
but
brings
leave
us back
collection.
to our regular agenda. And
That's
we are on
correct.
resolutions on second reading and final passage.
The first one is 192. It authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with J.P. Morgan Chase Bank for the financing of vehicles and equipment and otherwise providing with
So moved,
respect
Mr. Chairman.
thereto.
Motion by the Vice Chair, second by Councilman Webb. Any discussion?
do we know which department the vehicles are for? I can't remember.
This is for...
Mr. Mayor.
Probably police.
Which
Where are
department?
we now?
For the finance, 192.
192.
The vehicle package. It doesn't say what. Water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Water and sewer, we're being told, Councilman.
It just didn't, I know we talked about it 2 weeks ago, but I couldn't remember and I couldn't find it on.
And I think Oliver probably wants to know if you're gonna get into CNG vehicles.
What's for vehicles?
Yeah.
I don't want to ask that anymore, but
Yeah.
7 yes.
Dale, please,
Councilman Corbin.
please check on it here.
CNG.
Yeah.
Would you allow me to
Let
bring
Oliver
up
know.
ordinance
don't think it
117
is.
before Councilman Jenkins leaves the chamber? 117.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, I believe we want to look at 117.
stop.
Oh, 117 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, this was amended, I believe, at the last meeting, so if there's a motion to adopt, it should be a motion to adopt as amended.
Move to adopt as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman McCullough, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins. Any discussion?
Man, I'm a man of my word, Rose.
My heart is beating real fast.
Please vote.
Oliver.
Councilwoman McCullough, we're waiting on your vote. That is 7 yes.
Oh, I just love you guys. I'm gonna fix Thanksgiving dinner for you. Everybody's welcome to come to my house.
Careful what you promise.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, let's get back to that regular agenda.
194 is a resolution ratifying the use of certain equipment by Olive Street Ministries.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair. If there's no discussion, please vote. That is 6 yes. One on his way out of the chamber.
196 declares certain adjudicated properties to be surplus, which will authorize the mayor to sell the city of Shreveport's tax interest in these properties.
Second.
Motion by the vice chair, second by Councilwoman McCullough. If no discussion, please vote. 6 yes.
197 also declares the city's interest in certain adjudicated properties as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman McCullough, second by the vice chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Sorry.
B, what's going on? Here we go. 6 yes, 1 absent.
198 waives the effect of certain provisions of Section 78-359 of the code relative to the length of a pier and boathouse adjacent to 7411 Mallard Bay Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman
How
Everson.
long are they wanting to extend this?
Second by Councilwoman McCullough.
Mallard Bay,
In
that's in
the
the parish.
resolution,
It's in
it
the
should
parish.
say,
And Lyndon
see, I
Johnson's
don't
district.
have,
There we go. Linda Everson?
I know it's more than 300.
Everson's name on it?
Yes, I inquired about that yesterday.
I'm not sure it actually says in here.
Who can answer that for us?
What's the question? I'm sorry.
How long will the pier be?
He can answer it back there. I just saw a hand.
I can't hear him what he said. I can tell you on the record.
What is his name?
They're having trouble deciding how long the pier actually is because they can't say where it actually is starting from land and where it's actually going to be over the water. So I'm assuming it's a surveying issue at some point or some type of, but they know it's going to be in excess of 300 feet. And how long is it right now? That's what I'm saying, like,
there's no pier right now. What they're trying to do is build the pier far enough out to where they can get to a boathouse so that boats can get to the, so that they can access boats in a place where the water is deep enough. But there's a bank of cypress trees that prevents them from doing that within the 300 feet
who is doing
of our ordinance. Mr. Lawrence, Greg Lawrence is here, and he has been working with the Department of
First I've ever even heard of this, so.
Did we discuss it yesterday?
Discussed it yesterday.
I don't remember discussing.
Yeah, Wes
I must have been
Weiss
asleep
from the Environmental.
around the room when that happened.
Wes Weiss is the one who's been working with it. This is a gentleman who actually lives outside of the city, and so he has been asked to, when constructing this pier, make sure that his neighbor to the north, who also would need to be able to have access, that his pier is designed in such a way that it doesn't prevent access for his neighbor to also be able to get to the water, and he's agreed to that.
If there's no further discussion, please vote. That is 6 yes, 1 absent.
199 has been adopted. We're on 200. It authorizes the mayor to dedicate the 2600 block of Hollywood Avenue and...
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by the vice chair, second by Councilwoman McCullough. If there's no discussion, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
We had a couple of add-ons. One is Resolution 207. It declares November 2013 as Homelessness Awareness Month.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Respect thereto.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the vice chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Another add-on, Mr. Chairman, was a resolution suspending the effect of Section 10-54 of the code in connection with the application for a special events alcohol permit for the Log Jammer Half Marathon and 5K.
Second.
November the 17th.
Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair. No discussion, please vote. 6 yes.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions. Would you like for me to
Please
read the ones
proceed.
introduced?
Yes, sir.
201 authorizes the mayor to sign an engagement letter and agreement between the City of Shreveport and BKD LLP for an external audit of the city for fiscal year January the 1st, 2013 through December the 31st, 2013. 202 approves the 2014 Downtown Development Authority Program of Work. 203 authorizes use of certain equipment by Sports Spectrum Race Management and otherwise provides with respect thereto. 204 ratifies the use of certain equipment and Festival Plaza by Sports Spectrum Race Management and otherwise provides with respect thereto. 205 has been introduced. 206 authorizes the mayor to execute a contract agreement between the City of Shreveport and Denny Drive Water System doing business as Eagle Water, Inc. For emergency construction of water supply service. One was added that can be introduced. It states the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Home Federal Bank to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program and otherwise provides with respect thereto, with a public hearing on November the 26th.
So move introduction.
Second. Motion by the Vice Chair, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins for introduction. Any discussion?
We voted 6, 1 absent. 6 yes, 1 absent.
We're now on the introduction of ordinances. 143 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This concerns Sportran. 144 amends the 2013 general fund budget. This concerns SPAR. 145 amends the 2013 community development special revenue fund budget. It moves funds around. 146 revises and amends and enacts section 78-386 of the City of Shreveport's Code of Ordinances relative to permits required, fees, durations, a waiver of that fee and otherwise provides with respect thereto. 147 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This concerns the 2013 airports capital projects. And one was added. It repeals ordinance number 112 of 2013, which created a two-way stop intersection at Cresswell Avenue and Southfield Road, and enacts the intersection of Cresswell and Southfield Road as a four-way stop intersection.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
We're now on the ordinances on second reading and final passage. 117 has been adopted. 136 closes and abandons a portion of Fannin Street between Baker Street and Douglas Street located in section 37, Township 18 North, Range 14 West, Caddo Parish.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the Vice Chair. If there's no discussion, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
137 will close and abandon a portion of the Benson Court Alley between Baker Street and Douglas Street located.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the Vice Chair. If there's no discussion, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
138 will close and abandon the 10-foot wide alley between Kemper Street and East 72nd Street west of Line Avenue in the East Carroll Grove subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
East Cedar Grove subdivision.
Motion by the Chair, second by the Vice Chair. Please vote. That is 6 yes, 1 absent.
139 declares a public servitude on certain adjudicated properties.
So moved.
Second.
That's Sam's
Motion
district.
by the Chair, second by the Vice Chair.
Remind me about this one. Is that where that park's gonna be? Or?
That's Sam, yeah.
Okay, this is an alleyway, I think.
I thought it was a water.
It's a utility servitude, Mr. Chairman.
Right. That's anybody.
Thanks, Ms. Glass.
Okay.
Ms. McCullough, please.
6 yes, 1 absent.
140 amends the 2013 general fund budget. It's equipment purchase for solid waste.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Vice Chair, second by Councilwoman McCullough. Any discussion? Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
141 is a zoning matter, C-73-13. It rezones property located on the southeast corner of Uri Drive and Arthur Avenue, and changes from SPI 3B1, Commercial Corridor Overlay Buffer Business District, to SPI 3E B1, Commercial Corridor Overlay Buffer Business Extended Use District, limited to a veterinary clinic for household pets
So moved.
only.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Webb.
The good thing is passing, they've already done a whole lot of work on that building.
Where exactly is that?
It's the corner of Arthur and Uri.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Oh, it's Dr. Seals.
6 yes, 1 absent.
142 is a zoning matter. It rezones property located on the northwest corner of East 74th Street and Line Avenue by changing that from B2 Neighborhood Business District to R1H Urban One Family Residence District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair. Any discussion? 6 yes, 1 absent.
Chairman, those are all of the items on the regular agenda for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. At this time, is there any table legislation that we should consider today?
I have not heard any council members say that they wish to remove anything from the agenda.
Well, that is good news. We have no ABO appeals today. We do have one remaining PC appeal, and I appreciate everyone's patience for sticking with us. I have actually I have some people who'd like to speak about it. Mr. Thompson, would you read the actual zoning appeal?
This is a zoning appeal, BAC 135-13. It's on the southeast corner of Line Avenue in Jordan. The applicant is Mr. Richard Rose. The establishment is Twine, 1513 Line Avenue, Shreveport. It's for a special exception use, variance in front yard setback and hours of operation of B2 Neighborhood Business District to permit the expansion of existing use and restaurant with outside dining, on-premise consumption of high alcoholic content beverages and packaged wine and beer sales operating from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Have 4 requests to speak. We may have lost one. Is Commissioner Lynn still with us?
I think he left.
Council recognize Mr. Tom Marcinek.
He's not used to meetings lasting this long.
I know they've gotten a little quicker lately, but this one's...
Nor have I.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tom Arsenault. I live at 536 Jordan Street, Shreveport 71101. I live around the corner from this establishment. I'm also here as president of the Highland Restoration Association, which is in support of the appeal of my wife and I to the action of the ZBA on this matter. There are 2 main concerns. Most of this application we actually support. We support the increase. We support the variance on the outside dining. We don't have a problem with the on-premise consumption of high alcoholic content beverages. Our issues are 2. One is with the package sales. Our concern with the package sales is that once you've approved package sales, particularly if you also approve being open until 2 a.m., that if this business should move or relocate, that someone could come in and be open until 2 a.m. selling package alcohol. That's not something that I'm aware of any other place is able to do in the city of Shreveport. And so we definitely oppose that. The issue that I raised in my letter, and because I did send you a letter, I hope you've had a chance to read it. The issue that I have is that it appeared to me at the hearing of the ZBA that for some reason the burden was on us to show that it shouldn't be done, as opposed to the burden of showing what justifies a special exception in the hours. I will point out to you that the midnight hours, which we do support, the midnight hours are already a 2-hour variation from the hours that could ordinarily be operated in this location. We believe that that is sufficient. There are no other businesses open anywhere near us after midnight, and we believe this is a dangerous precedent to start for other businesses in the Highland community that would start this. It may well be that the gentleman that runs Twine runs a fine establishment, The problem is, it doesn't go with him, it goes with the property. And we cannot be assured that the next person that would own this property would operate in the same way that this fellow does. So we believe it's a bad precedent. We don't think there's any special characteristic that gives rise to a special exception or a variance. I know many of you were at the UDC meeting last week, as I was, and I spoke, and one of the things that was said is what we want to do is make sure that we're not just granting all these exceptions. Well, here's another one. And we would suggest to you that this would be a good time to say, you know, maybe we've done that in the past, but it's not such a good idea, and we're not going to do it in the future. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
On a special exception use, that, if they were to move, that doesn't go away and someone would have to reapply for the
No, sir.
special?
Does not.
I always thought it went away.
No, sir. Goes with the property.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
And right now, they're operating till 12, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Arsenault is right. I think he has a good point, and I would direct this to Jeff. Jeff, you think you could get with the people and see if...
I've had a good chance to talk with both Mr. Arsenault and the individuals who are the applicants to the ZBA, and I've asked Julie to do a little bit of background research, and she's prepared a motion that I'm prepared to offer in a moment. I'd like to give a chance for everybody who's signed up to speak first, but we have taken into consideration, I think Mr. Arsenault has some very valid concerns, and I hope that what I've prepared will be able to address some of those. So,
have you had an opportunity to visit with Jeff on the motion that he's going to present?
I haven't talked to him about the motion, but Mr. Everson and I have had a number of conversations about this issue, so I think he has all of my, I think he has sufficient input from me, Mr. Shine.
I do, and what we've Julie was so gracious to us to complete this today, so I have not had a chance to show it to everyone yet, but it is consistent with the conversation that we had. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Council will now recognize Denise Odom.
Good afternoon or evening. My name is Denise Odom from 721 Boulevard Street. I am the Executive Director of the Louisiana Lines Eye Bank in Shreveport. I just wanted to say that I have and do patronize Mr. Rose's establishment. It's a very fine establishment. He has actually supported us through several charity events there. And, you know, it's a place where I take my son. He's 14 and he enjoys it. We actually have been in there till near midnight when we took the Haunted Shreveport tour that he provided. It was a great historic tour. And, excuse me, it was about 11:30 when we finally got through with dinner and entertainment to get out of there. That was good for that evening. However, he did hold a charity event for us that was a wine tasting and silent auction at one point. And we found ourselves rushed by 11:30 to get the potential donors out the door. We had quite a few things that were donated for auction, and so, you know, having a little extra leeway on an event like that would be very nice. It was on a Saturday night, but you know, as far as the you know, the package sales and stuff, he does serve some unusual wines that you don't find anywhere else in Shreveport. And I think most of the patronage there is for the wines and the exceptional beers that are different, imported. It's not the typical place. It's not like a bar. It is a nice restaurant with it's got a very pleasant atmosphere. And I just want to say that, you know, the businesses around there, they're shut down at night. There's not any houses very close to where he's at. And it does bring some life to that area at nighttime. And there are a lot of folks that visit there and have dinner and try a different wine and just, you know, enjoy the atmosphere. So I am in support of him being able to have the choice of being open a little later if he wants to, or if he has a special event like our silent auction, to be able to be more comfortable with it, not having to rush folks out the door. And, you know, he raised several $1,000s for us, but We had some auction items that ended up not being sold because we didn't have enough time to, get people in there and let them finish looking around. So that's all I wanted to say for him. He's really been great for the iBank.
Just before you go,
Yes, sir.
did you kind of understand what Mr. Arsenault was saying, that sometimes if you grant the exception, you could grant it to a Catholic priest,
Sure.
Methodist minister there,
Sure.
and but it actually goes with the land and not so much with the individual, because it seems like this gentleman that you're talking about must be a fine and upright
Yes, sir.
American citizen. But just in case
Yeah.
something would happen, then somebody else would come in.
Yes, sir, I do understand that. I think the uniqueness of this restaurant is because of the location. And he's been there for 2 years, and I don't, I would hate to think that he's going to leave that area, because he does support the area, and it's a perfect place for this type of an establishment. It gives some, like I said, it gives some life to that area, and it brings in business because it is one of the few restaurants in that area that are open at nighttime. And it's in a great location. It's not far from downtown. So if let's say you go to the Strand for an event, it's a nice place to go. I understand what you're saying, but I don't foresee him walking away from that anytime soon, because it's the uniqueness of his location that has helped his business.
I just want you to think about this on your way back to your seat. Dale and I never thought that General Motors would have walked away.
Yes, sir.
Or AT&T would have walked away. Am I making any sense to
Oh,
you?
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. That's all I just
Thank you,
want
Mr.
to
Shine.
think about that.
Thank you. Council will now recognize Mr. Rose.
Good evening. I'll make it brief. I know everyone's hungry, and there's a restaurant called Twine that is open this
You
evening.
guys serve anything to drink there?
We do. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to say that a year ago, or actually it was about 18 months ago, you had great discussion on this, and we had loaded the room with a lot of supportive people that lived in the Highland and Fairfield District. I'm not going to take your time. Mr. Everson and I have had conversations, Mr. Arsenault as well. I want to thank both my predecessors who spoke today for your support. It's just different versions of the support. But I was asked to come before you a year after being open and let you know the success we've had and if there were any issues. The ZBA heard the same story. We have no reports of alcohol violations. We have no noise violations. The business has grown. Mr. Webb was the one that voted to our favor for progress. And so I want to address that, Mr. Shine, a little bit. I am standing here as a citizen of Shreveport, not just a business owner. I'm not asking for exceptions solely for my business. I just want to go on record to say I believe this is a city of progress. I spoke last time about the burgeoning film industry, burgeoning medical industry, even in the third shift workers. There are people that work in the restaurant industry that aren't able to eat or drink until afterwards. So my vision is much like Ms. Odom stated, it is for the betterment of the Highland area, not just me as a business person asking for exception. And I'm very clear on how those rules read. Regarding the package sales, Mr. Everson will speak to my concerns there. I'll leave that to you, Jeff. But I want to thank you guys for your time this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Everson.
So here's what I was prepared to offer is, in talking about this, I too agree that the package sales does set a dangerous precedent for this area. However, the hours can to some degree be controlled through permitting and certificates of occupancy. So what I'd like to offer is a move to modify the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals by upholding the approval of the expansion of the existing restaurant with outside dining and on-premise consumption of high alcoholic content beverages operating from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m., but denying the expansion of the packaged liquor sales or the packaged sale of wine and beer into the expanded area of the restaurant.
Okay.
Is that a motion? I'll second it.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Webb. Discussion.
Just quick discussion. First of all, I have to say, obviously, I voted differently the last time, and I think y'all y'all have done a great job in terms of setting a bar pretty high, and you've met every expectation that certainly the last council meeting requested, so I'm very appreciative of that. I certainly think that, you know, I'm not sure it's taking anything away from the neighborhood by staying open. I do have that one question about it having to stay with the actual building rather than the ownership. Now, is there any other way to incorporate this exception to just the particular ownership that we could consider, and are there some ramifications that
we've asked that, and I believe the answer is that you know, sort of that you are creating a precedent that goes with the property. That's why having the expanded alcohol sales would allow, or the package sales would allow somebody else to essentially come in there and, you know, after if Twine was gone and somebody else came in there, because of the standard, now we might be able to deny them, but they could turn around and sue us and we'd have to allow them to do it pretty quickly. So, you know, with that in mind is why it's crafted this way, to prevent something like that from happening. Now, if there's another way that we could further limit it, I'm not aware.
There was a time when the council and the ZBA did limit a lot of special exception uses to a particular owner. They stopped doing that on a legal basis because the zoning decisions should be made on the best use of the land.
Right.
It should not be tied to the person. And I forgot to check with Terry. I don't remember whether there was a court case that told us we had to stop doing that, but in any case, based on legal grounds, we stopped doing it that way, and it's more of a rational basis based on the use of the land, not who the owner is.
Do we have an option of doing it on a year-to-year basis, where it comes back to us every 12 months, and we reconsider it, or does that open another
We
legal
have done
issue?
that in some cases. Again, it should be based on the use of the land, but I think that the council has done that before.
And would that have been impacted by the same decisions, or?
Well, I don't think so, because the rule is applying to that piece of land. You're just, you know, not making it permanent yet. Usually the way the council has done it is if they do it, give it on a year basis, and then eventually, when it appears that there's not any problems, you know, make it permanent.
I'm definitely not in favor of continually having that gentleman have to come down here every year to do this.
It's like a
I think it's a little bit
significant
overburden
extra
for a
expense.
particular business owner, in my opinion, but that's just me.
But the other reason, and I think I stated it briefly, but you know, the hours are included in the certificate of occupancy, and so that is something that we can address through that as well. My primary concern in crafting the language that I did was to make sure that alcohol special exception that would run with the property and cannot be controlled in another fashion without. I mean, we could, but it could be quickly contested.
I'm not sure if we give them operating until 2 a.m., I'm not sure how the certificate of occupancy can limit that.
I'm saying that a subsequent person who applied may not necessarily apply for the extended hours,
But they would have the special exception use for that if they wanted to
they would be
apply
able
to.
to. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay.
I think Roy's rolling up here to make some comments.
Yeah, Roy, jump in, please.
Let him comment on that first.
And I think maybe where I'm getting that from is I was curious on the certificate of occupancy where we gave a special exception use to 12. They do have a certificate of occupancy that allows them to be open later than
Yeah,
now.
the part that's getting missed here is that the special exception use, if abandoned, okay, expires and goes away. Okay? That's, you know, the only way this would effectively run with the land for another user is if the owner of this building were able to get another tenant in there before the other one vacated, unless they made special provisions to say, oh, well, the new tenant's going to paint it, and therefore we're going to be closed for a certain number of days, and they do that with a letter to the zoning administrator. But the difference between regular zoning and a special exception use is that it does in fact expire. It won't linger out there unused and pop up when you don't expect it. That's the express purpose for it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Tom, did you hear that?
I'm ready to vote.
All right, any other discussion? Six yes, one absent. All right, Mr. Thompson, I think this brings us to reports from officers, boards, and committees. Do we have any reports at this time?
I will just to give a brief report on yesterday's meeting of the Riverfront B4 committee. It was discussed about the civic appropriations applications, and I think we discussed it at work session yesterday, but just for the benefit of the general public, we did determine to move forward with the application process that the council passed in May of 2012, and those applications have been updated and will be distributed to the applicants who met the initial application deadline.
Mr. Chairman.
Which was August 31st, right?
August 31st, correct.
I would hope that the chairman of that committee would make sure that that information has gotten out to the public and not take for granted that people will get that from the city council meeting or by reading the minutes, but just make sure that the information has gotten out.
I appreciate you mentioning that, Councilman Shannon. We certainly will. In fact, those people who submitted an application will be contacted directly with that.
Good.
Right, because these applications are only going to those who had originally applied.
Good.
And met the August 31st deadline.
Yeah, good. But I just want to make sure that it's gotten out. You know,
Well,
because you'll have somebody who will call you, Rose, who get that
Administration
information.
agreed to.
Yeah. And
contact.
I received the draft of the updated version today, so we're going to get it to them.
How
So
many people
it'll be
missed the
distributed to the
deadline?
same.
But just make sure, like you said, those that have applications in already, that they are contacted.
Right.
And understand. Okay.
Any other reports from officers, boards, or committees? Thompson, I believe that brings us to the clerk's report.
He's got one today.
He sent a whole email on his clerk.
He's proud.
He's trying to get all of 2013 done right now.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, as council members know, the second council meeting in December is scheduled for December the 24th, and the administrative conference is scheduled for the 23rd. The chairman is considering a recommendation that we would move the administrative conference and the regular meeting to Friday, December the 20th. And he asked whether or not there were any issues involved in making that move. The meeting date can be changed. We looked at the charter and also the rules of the council. So there are no legal requirements to prevent the council from changing the date of the second regular meeting in December and holding the administrative conference at the same time. But it should be done, we think, by a motion and a vote of the council. But if the council meeting is held on December the 20th, the change will affect the date ordinances introduced on December the 10th can be adopted. If it's held on that date, then the ordinances that are introduced on the 10th cannot be adopted before January the 14th, 2014, because you have to have at least 2 weeks between the time that an ordinance is introduced and the ordinance is adopted.
I have sent a subsequent email inquiring, does that mean if we had the council meeting on the Monday, does the Monday count as 2 weeks?
That would not help either, no. That would be 13 days.
Christmas Eve is the only way it works.
The only date that works in December
I would
for everything is December the 30th.
Generally, our agenda is quite short.
Right.
Um,
And department heads would have time to try to rush up anything that needs to be done to get it on the next agenda.
Well, I'd like to make a motion then, Mr. Thompson. I move that the city council meeting scheduled for December 24th, 2013, and the administrative conference scheduled for December 23rd, 2013, be held at 3:00 p.m. on December 20th, 2013. Too many notes here. And then, of course, all hearings scheduled for December 23rd will be held on the 20th unless it's rescheduled for a different date. Any hearings or appeals?
I'll second it.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Webb. Any other discussion?
We're giving up the 2 meetings, we're just having one.
Vote it up or down.
It's all on the 20th.
And it's on the 20th.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I actually have something on the 20th.
Please wait.
Yeah, I should check before.
Wait, the 20th, I do have some, but hopefully
What
we're out of
time
here
is
by
that,
6 or
Michael?
6:30.
Same time.
Same time, same place.
Just come to the work session and hang around for the regular meeting.
Checking
No,
the
I think
20th.
we're doing it all at one time. I know that we have to go through it twice, right? Promise me.
Oh, yeah.
And that is 6 yes, 1
I'm
absent.
not gonna wanna be here.
Mr. Thompson, anything else in the clerk's report today?
No, sir.
Is there a motion for the council to resolve
So moved.
itself in committee of the whole? Second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. Our first motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by the vice chair. Sorry about that. Councilwoman McCullough. Councilman Everson. 6 yes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of October
moved.
22nd? Second by the vice. Motion by the vice chair, second by the chair. We've been here too long.
Who seconded the motion?
I did.
Thank you.
6 yes, 1 absent. Mr. Mayor, any additional communications at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I just want to to start by adding one additional item that I meant to include in my original communications, and that is this coming Thursday will mark the home debut of the Shreveport Bossier ABA, American Basketball Association Mavericks. As you all probably know, they will play their home games at the Hirsch Coliseum, and this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be what is known as the ABA Tip-Off Classic. The Shreveport Mavericks will host the Gulf Coast Flash, the Hattiesburg Hornets, the Mobile Bay Tornadoes, the Jackson Showboats, the Monroe Magicians, the South Houston Assault, and the Denton Destroyers in a tip-off classic here in Shreveport. So want to certainly encourage you council members, if your schedules will allow, to come out and show a little hometown support. The Mavericks did start their season off this past Saturday night in New Orleans against the New Orleans Cougars, and they won that tilt, Mr. Chairman and council members. So at this point, we are undefeated before we come home to a 3-night homestand as a part of the ABA Classic. Mr. Jerry Nelson, the owner, has made a considerable investment into the Hirsch Coliseum, as well as to the talent that he's brought to the area. It sounds like another great fun thing to do, and so we encourage all folks who are basketball sports aficionados to come out and be a part of the fun. Also will be scheduled at some point in time a slam dunk contest, Mr. Chairman, between myself and Mayor Walker. So I want to encourage you all to make sure that you keep your schedules open so you can get a chance to see the
More of the gold,
I want a little of that action.
the Chocolate Thunder himself show back up and dunk all over poor Mayor Walker. But he'll be a good sport about it, and we'll make sure lots of folks get a chance to have their cameras out in time enough to be able to see that 360 double chocolate thunder slam.
I know you don't want any vanilla thunder out there, so I'll just keep myself on the bench.
Well, now, Mr. Oliver Jenkins, Councilman Jenkins, I was assuming that you, as a former Southfield Eagle, I'd be able to use you as my setup man to make sure I had the ball coming in at the proper height.
That's more my ball, that's perfect.
Above the goal, so I would make sure I got a chance to execute that properly. In addition, Mr. Chairman, I also want to again remind those out there who are watching that it's still not too late to be able to cast their votes, as Councilman Ron Webb has already done for
21 times.
21 times. So in fact, I think you can vote at least 20 times. And there's one other way you can do, I guess, online or through text
It
message.
took it all 21 times.
Well, we want
rules, I guess.
That's at least 3 for each council member, Mr. Webb. So let's see if we can get us some others to join. And that number, for those who are listening, is for Cole Vosberg on the Voice. He's a part of Team Blake. It was Team CeeLo, though, who ended up getting him into the competition. And as CeeLo pointed out last night, he was the only one chair that did turn around. So I guess it was quite providential that he finds himself in this position. But that number is 1-877-553-3711. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, again, want to express thanks to Don Eibel and the folks at Libby for their announcement today of the $20 million investment into Libby Glass Shreveport. The retention of the 511 jobs that are currently here, the addition of the 70 that are coming, and the expansion of that operation to include research and development as well. And then without question, we're all here with bated breath, awaiting the coming of Whole Foods, and certainly want to reach out and express appreciation to Joanne Wheelis, as well as the Nelson family for their efforts and leadership in helping to make that happen, as well as the support again of Scott Martinez at the NLEP and all the other folks, including you all as council members, who helped to be a part of that overall impetus, and most importantly, to our citizens, who I think kept a constant refrain before the folks at Whole Foods of letting them know that they were wanted here in Shreveport, and it would be an absolute perfect addition to a growing and upcoming community. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I turn it back over to you and the council members.
Thank you, Mayor Glover. And if we work hard, we may make it out of here by 7 so we can go hear Cole sing. Make sure that he makes it on through. At this point, are there any additional communications from council members?
I'll just say one, and I do recognize I was a little late, so if I missed it earlier, I did say this yesterday, but I'll say it again. Fantastic Veterans Parade on Sunday. Great group out there. Obviously, couldn't have better weather for a fitting occasion like that, and to see the spectrum of people that participated in that was just fantastic. We do a great job in this community of supporting our veterans, so as a veteran, I salute you, the community, because that was really great to see the outreach of people out there. So that was fantastic, and there's a lot of things going on this weekend. I certainly heard the mayor's schedule, and I was at half of those things as well. But that is one event everybody should put on their schedule every year if they can make it out there. That's it.
All right, the final thing that I have is just a reminder that at our next meeting, November 26th, we will elect new council officers. And it's been a quick year, and I'll say a couple more things about that in a couple weeks. That brings us to public comments. We have some folks who have signed up to speak today. I will ask that everyone try to keep their comments in the 3-minute window if possible. Council will now recognize Mr. Sammy Mears.
He always keeps his in 3 minutes.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. First thing I wanted to do is to show you the new watch that I got in the mail. Joe, you saw this earlier, but for those who didn't.
And expensive.
Well, Ron Brigman from Austin, Texas, since that was brought up, Austin, Texas, he lives in Austin, Texas, and he sent me this in the mail since the old watch went cuckoo and bye-bye, so I had to dump it with the greatest of pleasure. And I don't regret it either. I just wanted to say also that everything's been going real good with my television as far as Comcast. I was very happy that it's been working out lately and no complaints of any kind. Only a few weeks ago when I did complain, I would think that my complaints were pretty much legitimate. Things have worked out ever since. And Oliver and Jeff, I know that when I left you two each a message about the beaver with buck teeth, I hope y'all understood why I may have brought that up, because of the fact that the food stamp fraud, I was really appalled about that. I would not have understood why anyone would want to go get a television, but anyone who does, and hopefully you'll understand, I don't think that they could eat the evidence because they're not a beaver with buck teeth. If they want to be, I'd like to see that. And there's no way it's going to happen. So, in all due respect, I would have taken the ringside seat or maybe pulled up a chair and I would have gone to Mansfield to their home if I could have found out who it was, and I would have sat there and I'd say, okay, if you're a beaver with buck teeth, eat the evidence. Of course, they'd probably chicken out and saying, don't you tell us what to do. Who do you think you are? And I'd say, eat or take it back. And incidentally, Cedric, since you're going to be in that slam dunk, is there any way that could be videoed for it to be brought here? Maybe I'd like to see it in case I don't get to be there.
I guarantee it'll be all over YouTube, Sam.
With the greatest of pleasure, huh? Is that what I'm hearing?
It'll be all over YouTube, so absolutely.
With the greatest of pleasure. Well, that I'd love to see. Of course, I do remember that there was a friend of mine that did have a couple of front teeth, and he always got called Beaver, and this person came up one day and told him Beaver has cat eyes, and he said, say something else. So he pulled his arm back like this, like he was going to do something, and the other guy chickened out and said, boy, you're going to get a trip to the moon one day if you keep on calling me a beaver with buck teeth. Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy. And I believe our next speaker may have left, Charles Felock. I believe he left a little bit ago. Council now recognize Pastor Mays.
YOLO?
It's funny though, because people, I had contacted them a while ago.
Mr. Mays, 335 East Desdale, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104. To the chair, to the vice chair, to the mayor, and to all that are here. I came before you to speak to, first of all, to give thanks to the Shreveport Police Department. On November the 3rd, there was an accident, and I also want to give credit to the fire department as well as the EMS that responded in such haste manner by coming out. There was a 3-car accident on the corner of Uri Drive in East Desdale. I'm hoping that coming before you today, that these concerns and comments will be taken to heart and not lightly. Jeff, to you, our council person of that district, of District B. The corner of Uri Drive, Mayor, in East Desdale, since I've been there as pastor, I've watched more wrecks. And I'm going to pull up the number on them to bring them to you guys. There's a wreck a week there at that cross intersection. This particular time, it wind up entering on the church parking lot. We had just let out of church. We had a bunch of children out there. They was in the front rather than on the side this time, and elderly people. We just thank God that nobody got killed. The individuals in the 3-car accident, 3 people got hurt in the accident. One of them slammed into my Chrysler 300 and totaled it out. One of them hit the church. Just the little sweet, and I thank God for her. She belongs to First Assembly. Her and her husband wind up crashing into the church, and we prayed for them. And I want to tell her that we love her. She's a Caucasian female, and her husband, he's retired from the fire department, and he said immediately your church members came out to assist and pray along with us. So I told her that we love them, and we just thank God that nobody got killed on that particular day. And Mayor, I'm asking that in this council, I don't know if a crosswalk can be put there. We done saw motorcycle accidents. I done saw people constantly in bad wrecks there at that intersection of East Desdale and Uri Drive. Cars constantly, either every other week, you're going to see an accident there. Sometime I'll be at the church studying, and I just wait to hear an accident. So that's something that I know I didn't mention to you until now, but I wanted to bring this before the whole council so that it can be taken under consideration to either put a crosswalk there, because I think 1 or 2 people already then got killed at that particular cross there. So I'm just hoping now that my concerns as a pastor, and I don't know if I need to do a petition and bring a petition up to you guys and let you read the names of the individuals over in that area that are concerned about that intersection there between East Azale and Uri Drive. It wind up hitting our church pole there with our lighted sign, and I just don't want to see any more loss of life, no matter who it may be. So that's my concern, and that's what I'm bringing it to you guys on today. So I'm hoping that this, you all would take this under consideration and don't take it lightly, because I know that your concern is such as mine. You're concerned about every citizen of the city of Shreveport. So with that being said, I don't know, what do we need to do? I'm gonna leave it in the hands of our council person, that he would look into this matter, pull the report up, see how many accidents and what loss of life has taken place at the corner of Uri and East Azale. And because you got a little let's yield sign there, the people yield, some of them get out at least far enough because that traffic be coming so fast and they don't make it. So I'm just concerned because I done saw white and black both wind up either getting hurt at that intersection real bad. And we open for suggestions. We had suggested at the church that maybe it needs to be a caution light there, maybe it needs to be a crosswalk there, but something definitely got to be done in regards to that area. And I pray that you all would look into this. If you pull the report, you're going to see the number of accidents that has taken place at the corner of Uri and East Azale, and we're hoping that no other tragedy would take place. The lady that was in the car, her legs got messed up, elderly black lady. She had 2 other people, they was coming from a different church in the car with her, and they wind up getting hurt. So I'm just concerned that what is it going to take, and I hope it don't take nobody else getting killed at the intersection, because there was a motorcycle accident with a Caucasian white guy that wind up on a motorcycle getting killed or either getting hurt severely. I think this particular guy got killed because there's been more than one motorcycle accident there. So with that being said, I want you guys to take this, look into it, and see what could happen. You know, what can be done to put something there at the corner of Uri and East Azale so that no other loss of life or no one else would have to go to the hospital, Mr. Shine, or nobody would have to get killed in order for us to move forward. Because I would like for this to at least be put in the records so it won't be said that we are not concerned. If y'all want a petition, we can get that to you guys to let you know that we are concerned in that area about what goes on in that area with all of the citizens of that area. So with that being said, I just want to personally, once again, thank the Shreveport Police Department and thank the EMS and thank the fire department, because those guys were at the church in a matter, looked like seconds. They was there, out, and trying to help. Our church members was out consoling people that had been either ran into the church or those that got injured in the cars. So with that being said, I'm not going to hold any more of your time up, but that's what I came down for, because I wanted to thank and to let our citizens know what pride we should take in the response time, because it could have been one of us in there, and you want somebody to get to you as quick as possible to preserve life. So with their job, I just thank God for them, Sister Rose McCullough. I thank God for them and the response that they came out. And I want to thank our church family for going out and praying with each one of those individuals. And thank you very much. And Jeff, whatever we need to do, let us see about doing something in regards to that intersection there.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention and you know, kind of putting it in perspective that way. I think the first thing we probably need to do is look up the accident count, like you say. I mean, I think that is something we have record of. I would say that I think that our engineers probably have done that in the relatively recent past, because it's not far away from where the state's project is.
Right.
It is, Uri Drive is of course a state highway.
Right.
So that adds some complexity to the situation, but certainly it's worth taking a look at to see what we can, see what data we can start gathering.
Okay. All right, sounds great. Thank you very much.
One thing I forgot to mention is just a reminder, is next Saturday, 8:30, budget session, and we'll complete our review with
Joe, you gonna
departments.
be there this time? You got another emergency?
Well, if I don't have to go to the White House and meet with Obama on Obamacare, I'll be there, but, Dale, if I have to go to the White House and meet with Obama on Obamacare, I will be there.
Councilman Shine, I'll just say that if you do, I hope we see that on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
Just trying to help them get it straightened out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help them, they need a good IT person to come up and get their website straight, so I might have to do that.
IT guy.
Yeah.
I thought about you when that bid came up. I was thinking, we got one right here.
There you go. There you go. Dale, you see that, huh?
If there's no objection, we now reconvene the regular council meeting.
Yeah.
Committee rises and reports. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Forgot to mention that legal budget was going to be in this budget.
Yeah.
So we need to get in.
Yeah.
The legal fees.